celebrating wearing all of his Calvert Hall gear after a big game, big performance. Who had a better rivalry week, Calvert Hall or Ohio State?
These work? These headphones work?
I think they work.
Yeah.
Probably number 2.
Who had a better? Oh.
No. I'm glad you picked it up on the rebound. Glad you got it on the
rebound. And he scores.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough week, huh?
With both teams lost by 3 points.
That's true. That's a good one.
It was. Here, one thing I will say about the game. That obviously, the wrong team won, but I really.
Are you a Michigan man?
No, I'm at the other game. I really love the venue over there at Towson, and I know the kids. I'm sure if you ask the kids, like, where do you want to play, they would all tell you they want to play in the Ravens Stadium. I get it, and there's still some, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say bad blood, but there's still people in the community and at both schools who are disappointed with the Ravens, I guess, for not making the field available anymore. I think it's a great venue there. It's in the heart of where the two schools
right down the street.
It's easy. It wasn't easy to get out, but it's easy to get in. They don't, air quotes, allow tailgating, but it's a nice venue to tailgate.
Oh, well, that's weird.
And it's just, and you're right there. You're right on the field, right? I just think it's a cool venue, and I like that it's got two sides. You know, you're not. You can still do that at the football stadium, obviously, but you'd be apart from one another. Like, I walked over at halftime of Loyola friends. I walked over and saw them. Like, it's just an easy. I just think the venue is great. It's a really nice day for high school football. I don't know that.
And it's mostly
I
filled.
think the game.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, there were 70 some hundred people there. Like,
right.
In some ways, you and I have talked about this before. In some ways, the game's gotten a little too big for 15-year-old kids, I think. But what you see on Thanksgiving is the same thing you see every single Friday night in Ohio, and every single Friday night in Western Pennsylvania.
I'm gonna say it. We were doing the show on Thanksgiving morning, and my 6 a.m. segment is, "Why are you awake? Like, what? Why in the hell are you awake at 6 a.m.? Why am I here? Like, that was sort of
a lot of people are up.
We probably got 20 calls specifically from Calvert Hall parents dropping off their kids. So we might need to talk to the coaching staff. 6 a.m. might be a little early.
Right. Well, but again, that's what I mean. Like, the game has become so overly saturated with importance and visibility and social media. It's a lot to put on a 16-year-old kid, and it's not to pinpoint one person, one school, one coach. It's just the game. It's become so huge, and at 35,000 feet, it's really cool to see. Right. We had a Wednesday morning Fellowship of Christian Athletes huddle over there that had we brought Coach Shinnick over from Towson, who's an awesome guy. We had a huge pep rally. Like, it's awesome to see from above. Mm-hmm. But when you're at the game and when you see the kids afterwards, and you're in school today and you see the kids and they're disappointed, like, there's a lot there, man, for a 16-year-old kid. But again, I say, but it's this way every single Friday in Ohio in high school football.
No, that's true.
When there's 10,000 people there.
Right, 100%. Now, who do I see? You told me to take Loyola and the points, so we're good, right?
So anyway, what I was saying was, but now the Ohio State thing, I don't even know what to make of what happened over there.
Well,
that was totally out of control.
It's obviously it's out of control.
Out of control.
But and as I said it a couple times this week, it's gonna end. Like, that's.
Well, I think that specific. I think what you saw from Saturday, it was almost like a virus. Mm-hmm. It happened in 6 different cities. Mm-hmm. The Texas coach, I'll give him credit. He went out there and said, "It's not what we're doing. Get off the logo." I mean, you heard him physically. You heard him audibly say, "Get off the logo. Get in the locker room." I give him all the props in the world for that, because that was potentially an ugly scene.
Well, he also had the benefit of having seen it play out 3 places
100%.
What was about.
And even though he didn't control it, Billy Napier said all the right stuff afterwards when he admonished his team and said, "This is not what we do. It's awful," right? that specific, either the planting of the flag or in some way, shape, or form, not leaving the field immediately, there's going to be something now put into the rules that eliminates this from happening.
Correct.
There has to be, because these kids can't control themselves.
Yes. That's the way
it's that simple.
They're going to tell the schools, any of your kids do this, it's going to be a $10 million fine.
Right. Or he gets suspended for 6 games.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Something along those lines. And they're going to make it very clear. It's over. We're not doing this. Now, it's funny because I was talking to Jay Feely for other reasons, given the kicking situation in Baltimore. But he's a Michigan guy.
I may wind up kicking. 1 for 1.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. But he's a Michigan guy, and he was like, obviously this shouldn't happen. But this is a cultural thing. They're just going to find something else to do that's going to cause the next problem. Whatever it is, like, if it's not the logo, then these kids are going to go try to climb on, like, the goalposts at another school and try to they're going to find some other
way to say we beat you.
Right.
Besides saying scoreboard.
Correct. Some other
Which is what we used to do. We always thought that was cool.
Right, yeah.
Hey, look at the scoreboard.
Scoreboard, point at it, right? They're going to find some other thing to do, and it's just going to be the next
I wouldn't
thing
disagree
that
with that.
Problems. And he's right. That's 100% true. But then you're going to have to catch up, and you're going to have to stop that, right?
Right.
Like, you're just going to – this isn't going to end. And I'm not trying to defend anybody involved. I'm not going to defend any of the kids from Ohio State, but what the hell did you think was going to happen?
Well, that was exactly what I wrote, exactly what I said on Sunday. What did people were all over Ohio State. People were all like, can't believe Ohio State.
Got to learn to lose with class.
Like that maniac from Michigan said, some people got to learn how to lose. I'm like, oh, are you a moron?
Right.
What did you think was going to happen?
I'm sure next year, if Ohio State goes to Ann Arbor,
oh yeah, you guys are going.
If they fire their coach,
you guys are going to
find someone who's capable of beating Michigan.
You're going to walk. Yeah. We're going to walk back in the locker room.
Everybody else is going to be like, "Go right ahead. You do. Are you defecating on the field? By all means.
Yeah.
We need to learn to lose with class.
Right.
It's nonsense.
I mean, you're asking 18-year-old hyper emotional, and by the way, children still in a lot of ways. They think they're grown men. They they're kids. You're asking them to make rational decisions, and meanwhile, the other guys on the other team aren't doing it, and you're not either. And that's what I wrote Sunday morning. Like, what exactly did you think was going to happen?
It was.
Of course, it was going to flare up.
Particularly the Ohio State Michigan one. There was something because Gus Johnson was banging. Well, this is like getting after the Michigan kids. Then Joel Klatt's like, well, but hey, this is kind of part of it. I'm like, what do you mean it's part of it? Where in the rules does it say if we win on the road, we're allowed to do whatever we want to your stadium?
Right. And you can't retaliate.
Correct.
You can let us pee on you.
Please
and just,
tell me where that is, that it's part of it.
Correct.
Well, hey, but Baker Mayfield. Right, because everyone knows that once it happens one time, it means that a legal precedent has been set.
Right.
That moving forward, anyone may go to anyone else's field and do whatever they want to do to it. That obviously is how precedent is set legally. We figured that out. I get it. Like, it's something that, like, you take some sort of perverted joy. Like, oh, we beat you and we But what the F does it mean?
So here's my question for you. And this is the one that resonates with me, and I think about this. Like, do you think the coaches care?
No, I think the coaches care about winning and losing, and that's the end of it. I don't think they care. I don't think they want their guys.
And do you think because they don't care, is that why it happens? Do you think Billy Napier really did care at the end of that game and said that afterwards because he really did care?
I think that
because my response to that would be did you talk to your kids before the game?
I think this is preference versus priority is what we're doing here. My preference, I genuinely believe that Billy Napier or whoever else their preference is that their players don't do these types of things. But spending any amount of time on that in the week leading up to a game to them is a waste.
Wasted time.
To them, we have one thing that is a priority. It's winning the football game.
I would agree with that.
Everything that we do in the lead up to the game is going to be about that one priority, trying to win the game. This might be the end, by the way.
You think
this might be I'd be sad for his family.
Would you?
For his family. I love his family. His family's wonderful. I'd be sad for them. But
I guess I'm saying would they be sad?
I think they would be.
Okay.
I think they would be. Are we sure you're going to be all right? That might be the
No, I'm fine. I mean, I'm just coughing, and then I've got
right. All
whatever
the
I got.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird. Well,
you guys will be dealing with it soon.
yeah.
You got kids?
I don't know if it's the kids. It might be because I'm sitting 3 feet from you. That might be the reason why I'm dealing with it soon.
Well,
No, I just don't think
you got the vaccine. The vaccine's great. Haven't you heard?
I don't know.
I got the vaccine. The day after I got the vaccine, I got COVID.
That's weird. That's weird. Did it come with it?
I think so. I'm one of those. Remember Bill Burr said, he called him sheeple. Bill Burr's like, they're not trying to kill me. I believe in them. They're trying to kill the people that don't believe in them.
No, I just don't think they spend any time.
I would agree with that.
Not on the list.
That he's not gonna. He's not gonna say, I'm having a 30-minute meeting today to talk to you guys about behaving the right way, because in his mind, I could take that 30 minutes and we could do a fake punt drill.
100%.
And I
it's
can
even
beat
a step
you.
beyond that. If they spend 30 minutes on a Friday talking about how we're going to act if we win the game, and then the other team finds out that they spent 30 minutes talking about how we're going to act if they win the game, then they're going to use that as motivation for, like it's twisted. It's a very twisted.
I agree with
world.
you, but I disagree. I'm going to agree with you that that's the way it works. But I do think at this stage where you are, you have to have, and it doesn't have to be 10 minutes, but you'd have to have a conversation. And actually, it could also work like it did in A Few Good Men, where you just get your 4 captains together and you say, if there's any shenanigans at all after the game, I'm killing all 4 of you.
Well, but there is another problem with that. Like, this is the NFL now.
What did he say? He said something. If he doesn't run a something mile, I'm gonna come after you, and I'm gonna kill you.
So this is the NFL
Who said
now.
that? Jack Nicholson did. Right?
There is none of that. This doesn't work. They
don't
kids,
listen.
It's not even that they don't listen.
Right.
It's that they don't have to.
Right.
They say, "What, you're gonna
right.
You're gonna penalize me?"
Right. I'll just go to another school.
I'm just gonna transfer.
Yeah, I'll go to Missouri.
That's the way it's gonna work.
Right. I'll go to Maryland.
Here.
There's no rules at Maryland.
Like somebody else has plenty of money that wants to pay me. You don't get
right.
to
No, you're right.
govern me anymore. I'm here to play football, not to have a new parent.
And that's where the coach has to say, okay, then you got to go.
But if they're a good football player, he can't do that because they're going to be judged by whether or not they win football games, and so they're screwed.
I guess
it's where we are, man.
Yeah, I guess. I unless you just.
It might still work at Division III.
Right.
It might still work at places where, kids don't have other options. But
it might also work at the B level school. Meaning,
right?
I don't even know what I'm talking about. It might work at Illinois, because you're not winning anything at Illinois anyway.
I don't know if you noticed, Illinois was really good this year.
But I just pulled them out of it.
No, I think you need to go a level beyond that. I think it would need to be like at Western Kentucky, maybe, right? But even at Western Kentucky,
but then who cares?
That
if we plant a flag against Kent State, who cares?
It's one, who cares, and two, the kids would still say, "Well, I'm just going to go to Kent State next year."
Right. I hear you.
That's where they are.
Well, that's also where if you're a coach and you've made $20 million, Saban made $200 million. Saban's wound up saying, "I'll be the one to leave." But if you're a coach that's made $20 million, you don't care if you go 3-9 next year because your 4 best players all left. I'm just saying, it depends on how you look at it.
I don't know that there's a place where that's the case.
But give me $20 million, I'll go 3-9.
I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate
with my
that.
virtue.
Yeah, right.
With my virtue intact, I will go 3-9. Give me $20 million, and we'll go 3-9 4 years in a row. And I'll tell you what we'll do.
Yeah.
We'll be good kids.
Okay.
Give me my $20 million.
Okay. I don't think you're going to make it 4 years.
Give me. I don't need to. Just give me $20 million. Give me a contract.
Right, a buyout.
And no, give me a contract, and you got to pay me. It's like the dude who just got canned. The guy in Chicago. We were talking, my buddy Chris Beloga and I were talking the other day. Chris is like, the NFL coach has to be the greatest gig in professional sports because you just got to sign that contract. And then whatever happens, you're still good.
It's yours.
And you're still going to be able to go somewhere else and be the assistant defensive coordinator for 2 years and make $600,000.
100%. It's not really how that works. But then they don't have to pay you the money.
Right. But 2 years later you can.
Correct.
Yeah,
or you can still do the job. You just don't get extra money. People have that belief.
How about that scene last Thursday?
Oh, it was. I mean, it was. What? Like, what do you want me to say? It's insane.
And I think the funniest part of the whole thing was the horror in Jim Nance's and Tony Romo's voices as it was unfolding, and they're like,
"No,
this guy's not going to call a timeout,"
right.
and the quarterback is just letting the clock run down, and Romo was dying,
blissfully unaware. I don't have to worry about anything. I got nothing to worry about.
It was
life's good here. Then all of a sudden, Caleb Williams is like, "Oh crap! There's no time on the clock. Maybe I'll try to throw it towards." Well, not really.
How about the Monday night game?
What about it?
Just how insane it was.
Well, I mean, it was fun.
That's what happens when you get Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston has become America's favorite athlete.
Yes.
In 3 weeks.
Yes.
What's wrong with him?
In fairness, Joe Flacco was this guy last year.
Yeah, but not nearly like this.
Not for the same reasons.
Maniacal.
100%. There are different reasons why it's just a little bit different. I said this the other day, and maybe you'll understand this.
Did you see when they did the comparison between the two? And Bo Nix is standing there with his arms folded, with his good-looking, with his All-American.
Jameis Winston
is like, rolling the ball around, and he's 100%. Pointing up to the sky.
So I said, like, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, they launched that new. First of all, Griffin, tell everybody what's going on at Live Casino.
I'd
Gambling.
love to. Yeah, that's probably
for those of us that had David Pasternak in 2 goals last night. You could punch him in the face when you see him.
Real bummer.
Every time that the Baltimore football team or the Washington football team scores a touchdown during their home games,
Redskins, you mean?
Remember, well,
just let him read the commercial, Drew. Don't come to your house.
Sometimes, yeah, maybe. But yeah, whenever Washington or Baltimore scores during their home games, Live Rewards members get $7 in free slot play. You have to get your Live Rewards members have to have their Live Rewards card inserted into the slot machine. It doesn't matter. Any slot machine on the floor, just have to be actively playing, and then you get your prize, $7 in free slot play for every touchdown scored during Baltimore or Washington football team home games this season at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, thanks for all your help with our annual drive for helping.
Yeah, we're good, right? We sold it out.
Yeah, we did that. You're right, we did that.
Well, you did a nice show.
No, I appreciate all your help. I appreciate it. It means the world to me. All right, now, I don't know where I was. Oh, I said 5 weeks ago, I saw this commercial.
You like the golden at bat?
We'll get to it. Stop reading ahead. Let me have the conversation. Jesus Christ. Again, your house, scum, the whole thing.
Somehow I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Go ahead.
So anyway, I saw the commercial that they were doing for the Heisman House where Steve Spurrier is wearing the mascot boots, right? And it's a mildly funny commercial.
I think it's hilarious.
Okay. In that moment, I say to myself, God, I miss Steve Spurrier. How good were our lives when Steve Spurrier was just shooting, flapping his gums.
When he was with the Redskins, they were the Redskins then. It was awesome.
Well, that was hilarious. But at Florida, just trash talking Peyton Manning.
Right.
Peyton Manning, one of the greatest quarterbacks. Right. When he said, "I'm glad Peyton Manning is coming back. You can't spell Citrus Bowl without UT." It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my entire life.
No doubt.
I still slap my knee thinking about it. But Steve Spurrier would do that.
Right.
He would just, with
didn't
regularity.
Care. Right.
Florida wanted him to come back and re-interview for the job after he had left for the NFL. They wanted him to come back and re-interview for his job. And he said, walk to your trophy case. Take a look. There's my interview.
Right.
He was the best. Even if you hated him, he was the best. And I realized, we need that, and that's part of why we love Jameis Winston so much. We love it just because it's something different. It's anything other than the prepackaged, pre-canned, everybody's a brand, everyone has to protect themselves, it's actually interesting. It's something a little bit different than what we get from any other athlete or any other coach, and that's why we're enamored with Jameis Winston. Do you have the clip of him asking God to deliver him? Can you please?
Connecting this real quick. When I played in the U.S. Senior Open, Vijay Singh walked past the security guard. You get these little metal, they're kind of like belt clasps, but they're money clips. And it's got your name on it, and it's your badge for the week. And Vijay Singh walked past the security guard, and she doesn't know who Vijay Singh is at all. She says, can I see your badge, please? And Vijay Singh says, my master's green jacket's my badge. Thank you. And just kept on walking.
It's not bad.
Right.
It's not bad.
It's not quite Steve Spurrier,
right.
but the trophies, but it was close.
I believe they did that to Bob Dylan once at a concert.
My Masters green jacket's
Bob
my
Dylan
badge.
was backstage, and they were like, "Sir, I need to see your pass." And he's like,
"Yeah,
I'm Bob Dylan."
Have you ever heard of All Along the Watchtower?
Right?
Yeah, it's a great song, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. Funny thing about that.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Do you have it?
I think so. Yeah.
This is the greatest. Jameis Winston after the Monday Night Football game.
I know I'm better than this. I know I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes. Like that's not me. I know I'm better than this.
For the Lord to deliver him
I know
from pick sixes.
I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes. Like that's not me.
It's so
I know
great.
I'm better than this.
It's all right. We don't
I
need
know
to keep.
I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from.
Just in case someone didn't hear it.
I love this guy. I love him. He's praying for the Lord.
I love that
deliver
anytime
him.
anyone gets on the air and glorifies God, but that one's.
He's praying for the Lord to deliver him from pick sixes, Drew.
And here's the thing. I think he's being serious.
He might very well be.
I think before the game, he prays and says, God, please don't let me throw a pick six. And then when the game's over, he's like, God, why'd you do that to me?
It's your fault. Why do you keep putting me through this? Yeah, he's very interesting, and that's why we love him, because it's just a little bit
But he's
different.
crazy.
Yes, but we need crazy.
And he's just he isn't terrible. He's just hot and cold. He isn't terrible.
He's not good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Okay, but okay. But 6 teams have guys like that.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
that's true.
6 teams have guys that aren't good enough.
Right, correct.
The guy's playing in Dallas right now because the number 1 guy's hurt. That guy stinks.
That's right. Yeah.
The only reason Jameis is playing is because Watson's hurt.
Well, but that guy's not good enough either. I mean, like,
Understood, but they would be playing Watson because they had to.
They shouldn't be, but yes,
Right.
I get it.
Right.
I understand.
Something about him rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, that's what you had for today? That's what you came up with? Drew Forrester, ladies and gentlemen. Drew's Morning
Golden at bat.
Let's do this. We'll grab a break. It's going to come up in Would You Rather Wednesday. When we come back
Golden
in,
at bat?
Yes, it is. It's going to come up. A lot of topics are going to come up during Would You Rather Wednesday, including Jameis Winston. So we'll do all that when we come back in. Drew Forrester's here.
Let me tell you what I think about it.
No, it's a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Brooks Dubose profiles Maryland basketball forwards Derek Queen and Julian Reese as the Baltimore-built duo reunites in College Park with hopes of bringing the Terps back to prominence. Also inside, meet college basketball players from all of the area's D1 programs. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores, where you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as continue along on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. Drew Forrester is here, and I want to give you a $30 gift card to Glory Days Grill, but the only way you can win it is if you participate in Would You Rather Wednesday. The scenarios are up, facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio, at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. Respond to one, respond to all three. You're registered. Somebody wins a $30 gift card to Glory Days Grill. All right, now these are all relevant topics that we're going to discuss anyway. So number one, would you rather, here are your options, 3 options on this one. Would you rather the Ravens sign Riley Patterson and cut Justin Tucker?
Well, you can't
sign Riley Patterson and keep Justin Tucker and have 2 kickers on the roster, or just ride it out with Justin Tucker?
Well, A's not even an option because it costs you too much money.
You say it's not an option. They're going to the reason why you're saying that is because there's $7 million in dead cap space for next season, but they take $7 million in dead cap space for players they move on from. That's not it's not,
okay, well, the
it's
answer
not
to this,
good business, but it's not
the
likely
answer to
business.
this is C.
Okay.
Justin Tucker, people are acting like he can't make a kick, which is not true. He just made one the other day. You just have to have faith that he is going to hit a kick for you when it matters, and he knows more about kicking today than he's ever known in his life, and there is something that's off. I'm sure he's going through every single piece of video that he could go through when he was kicking the ball well. I'm sure if you think you and me and Griffin and the other 60 people who think they know kicking, if you think we've thought this through, they've spent hours analyzing this. Justin Tucker didn't forget how to kick. He's going through something. There is something off. And at this point now, it probably is more mental than anything. I don't think it's a physical fundamental. I think he's probably cleaned that up. So the answer is C.
By the way, everything you just said to me is why the answer is B, but I'll get back to that in a
Okay.
second.
Bringing someone in to compete with him.
It's not about that. It's not about a competition. I'll come back to it in a minute.
I mean, I guess it seems like there's no harm in doing B. Like, what is the risk in that?
Well, I mean, the risk is it's one other spot on your roster that you can't use for a real player.
Well,
kickers are real players there, Chief.
He's brought into the active roster.
Watch yourself.
That's what I said.
Okay.
I said, yeah.
Well, then I kind of still. I mean, I don't know, because they are still only using like 45 guys every Sunday anyway, because they don't use Deontay Johnson and Keaton Mitchell, I guess Keaton Mitchell wasn't active either. But I think I still lean with Drew, where like there is like, what would like he would have to miss. I'm trying to think like how many kicks in a row he'd have to miss in order to go to, like, he'd have to miss another, like he'd have to go 0 for 3 on kicks or something well, they don't play this week, but the next time they play, like I don't know what the breaking point is, and hopefully we don't reach that. So I don't to the active roster, no. So I will lean to C as well. I don't think.
I can't believe I'm saying these words, but I literally agree with everything that Drew said, which is crazy. It's nuts to me. It's nuts that I agree with all of that. With the caveat that there's no obligation for you to figure that out right now. If Justin Tucker can, all good. But to say has he forgotten how to kick? I don't think so. But I also think he's made 70% of his kicks, which is the worst in the NFL, and you can't live that way. So
a game, that a game that matters. You could argue that this Sunday was one of those, but of all the games they lost, I mean, this game could matter in terms of common opponent, but of all the games you're going to lose, a non-conference game is the one you'd most like to lose. It did hurt a little bit. Like,
it hurt significantly in the Steelers game.
The Tampa game, right. But there, well, sure, it hurt significantly in the Steelers game. There will be a game between now and the end of the year that he's either going to win or lose for you with a kick. I think we all know that.
Almost certainly.
Yeah, there's a game
The
coming.
argument would be that they've already won or lost games because
but we're not.
Right.
But that's all done. We're 8-5. We're going to make the playoffs. Still in very, very, I don't want to say in command, but I still think, given what we face and what the Steelers face, this is still on our serve to win the division. I really do believe that. This thing that happened on Sunday with Pittsburgh is a total outlier. Cincinnati's awful. Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh's losing 3 games between now and then, or 2.
I think they're losing 2.
Right. And the one that you're wondering about is the one that matters the most.
Right. Correct.
If we lose that game, we're not winning the division.
Although part of this is I'm also just not all that enamored by the Chiefs, and so I don't know anymore that they're definitively losing to the Chiefs.
Okay,
like,
that's fair
I just
too.
don't think
that's
the Chiefs
fair too.
are.
And the Chiefs might walk into that game with nothing to play for.
And the other thing with the Chiefs is they're the team that, like, what they do, that voodoo, is the same thing that Steelers do.
And I'm also not. I also am not 100% sure that. Look, would the Chiefs want to play the whole thing out at Arrowhead the whole year of the whole month of January? Of course. But if Mahomes tweaks his hamstring in 2 weeks, and they have to go to Pittsburgh, and Andy Reid would just say, just sit him out. If we wind up giving the division away, I mean the number 1 seed away, we'll just do what we always do. We'll go on the road and win. Like, I don't think Andy Reid would jeopardize the season over that Pittsburgh game, the penultimate weekend of the season, to me. So Kansas City might not even need to play it or might not play it.
That's the reality of it. That's the reality of the circumstances. Look, I'm.
But anyway, you're in favor of bringing in someone in the event that let's just say, God forbid, they go to New York and it's 2017 Giants with 54 seconds left in the game and Tucker misses it from 46 yards. You then say, okay, that's it. Patterson, next week you're kicking.
I think the scenario might be that he misses his first 2 kicks of the game. That in the first half he misses.
And so then you would say, okay, that's it now.
And you say, dude, we're taking a timeout.
Right.
It's not you're off. Obvious. I agree with you that the answer is not that you're cutting Justin Tucker.
I would agree, though.
My answer is I need somebody else that's worked with the holder, that's worked with the snapper, that we're at that point.
Okay.
Where it can't just be that we keep saying.
I can't believe I'm going to do this. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm still right, actually.
Well, I actually started this by saying you were right.
Listen, I'm gonna change my vote.
What?
Yep.
What the?
I'm going with A.
Wait, you're going with Trump now?
I'm going with A. Cut his ass. No, I'm going to change my vote and go with you.
This is weird.
No, I don't know what to do with this. I got a really bad cold.
Okay.
There's a lot of NyQuil here, and if you knew what I was drinking,
hopped up on a lot of drugs.
If you knew what's the kid drinking in the front there? Warm Pepsi. I'll agree with you because I would agree with you because here's what I would say as a follow-up to this. I do think you would have to say to him, a lot of people have said to me this week, like, what do you think they're doing over there this week? Like, where is Tucker? And one part of me said something. It wouldn't shock me if Justin Tucker called me. I'm just pretending. Like, Justin Tucker called me and said, dude, I drew your name out of a hat. Tell me what you think I should do. You know what I would tell him to do? I would tell him to go to McDonough High School and just go kick field goals.
Mm-hmm.
Just put the ball down on the field today with your tee, and just go back to being a kid that liked to kick the football.
He used to do this in Patterson Park. He used to go over there all the time.
That's what I would
just
tell him.
hang
I
out
would
with
I would
people.
say just go kick field goals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit like, and again, so much of this is a comparison to golf because in golf it's you and the ball, and in kicking it's you and the ball. It's weird. Sometimes that's what you do in golf. Just go to the practice green by yourself, put your headset on, and make 3-foot putts, and pretend you're putting for the U.S. Open. Like just go back to being a kid. And that's what I would tell him to do, right? So a lot of people said, "What's he doing this week?" And I would say he's probably taking 3 days off to just get away from it,
Right,
and then he'll probably sink back into it Thursday or Friday and try to get ready. But I think if you're the Ravens, I think you got to bring him in and you got to say, "We believe in you, we love you, we know you're going to come through, we're here for you. But if you do that again, we got to make a change, and we're not cutting you."
No.
But if you get 2 kicks against the Giants and you're 0 for 2, that's the end of the road.
Right.
And so then the problem with that is how do you function with that sort of heat on you, right? But it's part and parcel of the job.
This is the way it works.
Right. It's like going out to a pitcher and saying, "Hey, look, you're pitching great. If this dude gets on, I got to take you out."
Yep.
And if he gets on, you got to take him out.
That's
right?
the way it goes. This is the point. Like this.
So
is
I'm gonna change and say I think you're right, and the reason I think you're right is because I do think you have to have that conversation with him now.
Yeah.
Which is, you might go 2 for 2 against the Giants. We might win. Well, they're going to win whatever they want to win by. They're going to kill the Giants. But just understand something. You could go 2 for 2 against the Giants. But if there's 5 minutes to go in the game against Pittsburgh, like you did against the Eagles, and it's 17-14, and you get a 47-yarder against the Steelers, and you miss it, we're done. Like, I'm sorry. So I'm going to change my vote. That's something I've never done before.
It's a very strange moment. I don't know I can't even celebrate this. 'Cause
I'm
so
filing this
confused.
under Make the Ravens Great Again.
Oh, yeah. That's where we're going.
I'm getting hats and everything.
MATR.
Yep,
I don't
yep,
know
yep,
how that works.
That's working for the country.
Number 2.
I don't know if you heard or not.
Oh.
We're making America great again.
Are we?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Where are we starting with that?
That
What's
woman in Florida is going to fix it all, buddy.
Which one?
The new Attorney General.
Oh, that one. That one's the one you're
Your
riding
uncle,
with.
your uncle from Venezuela who came in about 20 years ago.
Right? He's gone.
He's done.
Out of here.
He's done.
Doesn't matter what he's contributing to society.
Right.
Out of here.
Right.
Number 2.
Fidel Clark.
One of these 2 things is going to happen in Major League Baseball next season. Would you rather A, it's the golden at bat rule, or B, it's the rule that percolated earlier this year where the starting pitcher has to go 6 innings?
Well, I am in the minority.
Oh, God.
I am in the minority.
Yeah, which minority group are you?
I am in the minority.
Which one?
I do not think
it's weird because I heard that you don't actually care for minorities.
Let me take it easy. Let me say this. I do not think the golden at bat rule is the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
What the? Well, I mean, you got to present to me a dumber idea.
I will. Zach Britton not coming into the game.
You know what? It's right on the edge.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the dumbest idea ever.
You're insane.
I don't.
You're insane.
I don't think it's any more dumb than
Just
starting the extra innings with the guy on second base.
No.
But it works.
You played 9 innings of baseball.
But it works. It's a dumb idea, but it works, and it does what you want it to do. And if it were a great idea, they do it in the postseason, but they don't. So
either way, they should do the extra inning thing in the postseason. They should
totally disagree with
They should 100% should do
but
the extra
I
inning
get
thing
why
in the
they do it.
So by the way, I'll give you this.
It's not the dumbest idea ever.
No. If they position this to say we're going to do this in extra innings, I would have no issue with it. That's the problem here. The extra inning thing is great because it's an extra innings, because you played a baseball game. The baseball game was played. How long is a baseball game?
I understand.
You played it. You played 9 innings of baseball. You couldn't come up with a winner. This is not unusual.
We are the only sport. Baseball's the only sport where in the course of the game you can't always play the best player on the team. It's the only sport that does it.
Correct. So is your suggestion that we just let the best hitter hit every time?
No. But I think there's something to be said for and I would even be willing to say it could only be in the 9th inning. And then that does, or the 8th, or whatever you wanted to say. But there's doesn't make any sense to me to have Shohei Ohtani standing in the dugout. You're giving him $50 million a year. Let him come up and hit.
Right, but you decided to give him $50 million a year.
Oh,
you weren't
okay,
forced to.
I mean, come on.
This is
but the best players.
No,
I'm not. The best players, for you to not be allowed at a time of your choosing to use your best baseball player seems silly to me.
What are you talking about?
That's the whole point of it. This moment comes up in the game where you want the option to use your best player. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with it is it's a completely farcical. You have a set of rules to play the game by.
You had a set of rules with the extra innings. You changed it.
In the extra innings. You played a
But you changed the rules of the game.
No,
you changed them in the game with the pitchers.
That part is the closest comparison that you can come up with.
Right, you changed it.
The closest comparison you can come up with is that inherently the 3-batter rule changed baseball 1,000%.
You changed the shift. You've changed plenty of rules.
Yeah, the shift, as I said yesterday.
But you've changed plenty of rules. Your argument that you can't change it because it's not the way we do it,
No, it's not because it's not the way you do it.
That's a joke.
It's because it's a farcical concept.
No, it's not.
The shift was farcical. When they invented
Nothing's
baseball.
farcical about you saying, I want to put Mike Trout up right now.
Right.
He's my best hitter.
So why don't you put him up every time? That's the problem. You're not defending it with an actual answer.
Yes, I am.
You're just saying, well, I want to use the best players. Okay, so use them every time. Don't only have 4 guys in your lineup. Pick your 4 best hitters.
Yeah, but
and they're the ones in the lineup.
You're just doing this to the extreme.
But that's the point.
No, it isn't.
You're not
the
actually
point.
defending it.
Yes, I am.
No.
The game is in the balance. I want to use my best player one time. One time.
Right, but why not 3?
Because we're only doing it once.
Right, because we're just artificially coming up with something.
You're wrong here.
No.
Yes.
It's insanity.
No, it isn't.
It's let the dads hit.
No.
It's we don't.
Now
we want to
now
change.
You're nuts.
No, we want to change the rules of
take
baseball.
my thing. Change this.
Yeah, right.
Stop. I'm going back.
I get
we don't want Riley
you
Patterson.
I
want to go back to
You
C.
want ice cream for dinner. You don't want to have to wait till dessert.
You're nuts.
You don't want to eat your vegetables.
You're off here.
You just want to eat ice cream. The problem. They're not actually solving a problem.
You definitely voted for Trump.
What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Definitely did.
I don't
You've been acting for years like you
I
hated him.
I don't think I've said that
I think you were there
once.
January 6th.
Wait a second. I'm pretty sure I was.
See where he was.
I was smoking weed that day.
Oh, okay.
No, I wasn't. I think I was.
You're wrong
I
on
guess
this,
that
by the
clears
way.
it.
No, I'm
you're
not
you're
wrong.
right on a lot of stuff.
No,
this one you're wrong.
You're wrong about
No,
it
I'm
because
not.
you want to be contrarian.
No, I'm not. I want my best baseball player to come up to hit.
Okay?
That's it.
So why don't we get rid of the bad baseball players?
Let's move on to
No,
another.
I'm asking you a question.
Because you're just saying all you're doing is just creating these crazy things.
No. Your defense of it is a hypothetical, so I can defend with a hypothetical.
They're the ones presenting the rule.
I understand, and it's not. They are not defending it. It's not.
Yeah,
an
they
acceptable
are. They
rule.
want to create the most dramatic moment they can in the game.
Farcical moment.
Oh,
and
geez.
again, if you want to
Come
create
on,
dramatic
spell
moments,
farcical first of all.
I don't know. I think it's got 3 S's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're good there. You keep saying
went to
this.
Calvert
There's
Hall, you
no
know how to
actual,
spell
well, I don't know. I've talked to some folks from Calvert Hall. I'm not sure they know how to spell farcical.
PHA.
Yeah, right? You'll get there. If you want to solve a problem,
It's FARCICA.
for example,
right?
the argument would be we want to make
You're
we want to
wrong.
make No, I'm not wrong.
You are wrong.
It's not based in anything. It's antithetical to the way the game is played.
You got your best pitcher. You brought your best pitcher in.
Correct.
You brought your pitcher in. The guy you wanted. You brought him in.
And you can bring anybody off your bench. It works
Oh,
the same way.
Hold on.
Yes.
Record that.
On your bench.
Record that.
Anyone that's available. Because you know what you can't do is you can't go back and put your starting pitcher in. They didn't change that, did they?
No, but maybe we should.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should just have no rules. Maybe we should. You can pull a guy off the other team and let him hit. Why don't we do that?
That wouldn't be a bad idea, too, for
The
us.
idea is that the game
Especially-
has to have rules.
Correct. And you've changed them over the years to make the game better. You've changed them. This is a rule worth considering.
No.
I didn't say. Yes, it is.
No.
Okay.
It's not worth considering.
I'm telling you,
you know what's
you're
worth
off
considering?
on this.
What's worth considering
You're
is
wrong on
how do
this.
you make sure all the teams have good players? It's worth considering actual problems that baseball is facing. And right now what they're facing is the regular season games aren't important enough. So how do we
because there's too many of them.
That's part of it, 1,000%, but they're not willing to give up
I mean,
games.
if we were going to fix baseball, right, if
this
they
is.
gave you and I an assignment to fix it.
What this is inherently the reason why they did the pitcher thing, which I do think was at the time farcical, but they did it in the name of we have an actual problem. We have to speed up the games. It's outrageous how long the games are going. You
mean the facing three batters
thing?
Three-batter
thing.
Right.
That they had an actual problem they had to solve. The actual problem was the games are going on too long. We've got to fix that. And everyone that's watched has said, "My God!"
Well, one of the reasons the games are too long, though, is because of 6 other problems they've created. Number one being you've paid the players too much money. So because you've paid the players too much money, you've had to put all the games on television. And because you've put all the games on television, you now are required to have 44 commercials in the games because you have to have commercials to pay the players the money that you've overpaid them. And because the games are now too long, you got to change the rules of the pitchers. So there's a myriad of reasons why the games are too long. I agree. This was a rule put into place to help reduce the time of the duration of the games. But it's not just the duration of the game that's too long.
Yeah, there's other problems. I don't disagree. But they, in that moment, were trying to solve an actual problem. The actual problem now is they're recognizing that the regular season games aren't good. The product itself isn't good enough for the average consumer because the average consumer is the I need instant gratification person.
Well, it's bottom of the 8th inning, and we're losing 4-3. And the bottom of the order is coming up, and I know we're not going to get a run here. Instead of the manager being able to say, hey, Shohei, come on up and try to hit a home run here to tie the game.
Right, because that's insane, yes. Because it's insanity.
Okay, but that's what they're looking for.
Right, they want to change the sport in order to appease instant gratification people.
In order to make it more exciting.
In order to appease instant gratification people.
In order to make it more exciting.
How many games do you turn off in the 8th inning? How many one-run games do you turn off in the 8th inning?
I'm not a good. You shouldn't be asking me that because I'm a baseball guy.
Right. This is at some point, and I'm going to present this to you. Would you be okay within the Masters? Somebody be allowed to say, "I'm going to let someone else take this putt for me,"
or mulligans, I guess.
Or mulligans.
Do
you like
you
the sport?
lost this argument?
I didn't.
And now you're just.
I haven't lost it at all.
You should do the dance.
No, you're the one guy that's trying to contrarianly fight about this because you see everybody doing the groupthink, and you're like, I've got to fight the other side of it.
No,
and
by the way, I didn't say that I think it should be passed. I said I don't think it's the dumbest idea ever.
Nonsense.
No, it's not.
It's changing the game because you don't think enough people like the game.
No, it's changing the game to give the best players the opportunity to come up in situations that are going to heighten the interest and the excitement of that moment. The game's about moments.
And again, you could do the same thing in any other farcical way that you wanted to do.
The game is about
make all of the runs in the 9th inning count for 2.
Yeah, the game is about moments. The Juan Soto moment, the Freddie Freeman moment, the Robert Andino moment.
But Robert Andino wouldn't be allowed to hit in this scenario.
Right, that's
so
right.
That moment would never occur.
But
But that's the point.
No.
They're legitimate. They're not forced. We accept them as being special, and we remember them.
They would be legitimate if the rules allowed for it. They'd be legitimate. You're allowed to bring one guy up once a game.
If it happened If it happened in every game, it would devalue that moment. We wouldn't remember it the same way.
I think you're way off here.
No, you're trying to come up with some contrarian argument.
Well, it's not my idea.
Right.
I'm not coming up with a contrarian argument. My argument is it isn't the dumbest idea that they've ever broached.
Absolutely insane.
Well, I disagree with you.
Insane. It is as farcical as it gets to try to appease a group of people that aren't baseball fans. You're not winning them.
I think it's the exact opposite.
I assure you, none of the baseball fans like it. Not one. Go comb over.
A lot of baseball people didn't like the designated hitter.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people didn't like the 9th inning or the extra inning thing. That does happen. But they're not appeasing baseball fans.
I just disagree with you.
They're trying to come up with new baseball fans, and this isn't going to change. The people that want to watch TikTok aren't going to suddenly say, if I might get this thing in the 8th inning of a game, I'm going to commit to watching baseball. It's just not going to work that way. Now, it might be that they want to create a red zone channel, and that's what they think this will do, is allow the ability to have a red zone channel where you can hop from game to game, and there'll be more moments that people will watch that red zone channel. They won't watch a baseball game, but maybe they'll watch that. And inherently, when I talk to a couple of people in baseball, I think that's the reason why they want to try to force this, is because as they start taking over broadcasts more and more, which is the direction that we're going in.
Bottom of the ninth, let's go to Baltimore, where they're bringing in Jordan Westberg.
They think they can get this.
Okay. But and in order to pay Juan Soto $75 million a year, you might have to do that. What's wrong with it? That's how he gets his $75 million.
You want to change the rules to justify how much the baseball players are getting paid?
Well, somebody's got to pay him.
That's your choice. You get to choose whether you want to. You get to choose whether you want to pay him that money.
But I think you're onto something there with the red zone idea.
That's what the only thing that anybody has presented to me that makes this make any amount of sense is the red zone thing.
These owners have got to make money on these teams. They can't keep breaking. They can't keep losing money and breaking even.
Those poor guys.
Yeah, I mean, David Rubenstein's got to make some money.
Poor fellas. You just feel.
You got eating ramen noodles here soon.
Nonsense.
I think you're off on this.
I'm not.
Well,
I'm not. It's farcical. It's utterly farcical.
I think you're crazy.
Okay.
It seems weird. The old guy is the one that's.
No, but why stop here? Why not?
Well,
just
you know what I'm going to say to that.
Again, why not just have him play banana ball?
There's something to be said for some of that stuff.
Yes, there's something to be said for it. People like it. If people like it, why are we playing baseball? Let's just play banana ball.
I just think you're way off here.
No.
Yeah, you are.
It's nonsense.
Okay.
It's utter and complete nonsense. So is the 6-inning thing, for what it's worth. They're both nonsense.
Yeah, what was
6-inning
that?
rule is far better than
yes,
this.
it's more palatable.
Because at least it's like it's trying to address the problem of your starters only pitching 4 innings, 4 and 5 innings.
But that's
are you doing this? Are you doing the 6-inning thing to get rid of the bullpen game?
They're doing it.
Is that why you're doing it?
They're doing it because they
Yes.
also. It's a little bit that, but it's also the general. They want to create the Felix Hernandez day. They want to re-emphasize starting pitching. They want the starter to matter the way that the starting pitching used to matter in each city.
Sure. Now that I'm signing off on, that concept, I abhor the bullpen games. I think it's gutless. I hate it. I mean, I hate it. So I am all. You got to have a starting pitcher.
I'm not with you.
I think 6 innings is. I think 6 innings. When I say unreasonable, Jim Palmer would barf. Six innings is unreasonable because most pitchers aren't going 6 innings. But if you wanted to make it,
they provide it's 6 innings or 100 pitches.
Yeah, right. Well, they're not throwing 100 pitches.
Right.
So the answer is there is something to be said for a criteria to follow for starting pitchers. He's got to pitch into the 4th inning. He's got to pitch into the 5th inning.
Right, so what you want to do is just get rid of bullpen games. That's all that you care about. Is trying to get rid of bullpen.
I think that's what they're doing.
It's a step beyond that. They are really trying to re-emphasize starting pitching.
Okay,
it's beyond.
But however they want to do it, I'm good with it. Meaning, we're both getting what we want out of it. Right? It's fine. I hate the bullpen game.
See, I have no issue with the bullpenning game.
Okay.
No, I get it. I don't bet as much as you do, so I understand why it bothers you. I do. I get it.
Yeah.
Like when you're betting a baseball game, you're betting starting pitchers. That's what you're doing.
No, mostly.
Like,
well, that's what I heard.
Yeah, right. That's what your friend told you.
Right.
So if you're a bettor,
I actually don't bet baseball.
By the way, and that might be part of it for Major League Baseball.
You know why I don't bet baseball?
Why is that?
Because of this. Because Jeremy is very, very, very good at betting baseball. You know why Jeremy's very good at it? He spends time
looking at the weather and looking
all
at
that garbage, kind of humidity, the crazy stuff, and he's very good at it. I don't have that attention span to worry about it. You know, hockey is an easy bet. It's ice.
Yep.
It's cold. The same
doesn't change much from place to place.
Right.
Yeah. You can't have a predominantly left-handed hitting lineup.
Yeah. Right.
In a stadium that benefits.
Right. So I don't really bet baseball at all, but I won a lot on the Dodgers. No,
they were good.
I don't bet on baseball, but I just don't like this. I am a purist, which is funny, right? I am a purist when it comes to baseball, and I didn't like I understood why they did it, but I thought, and I still think, that the extra inning thing is stupid. But I get it.
Oh.
You can't.
Yeah,
but this goes back to what we said before. If you only had 120 games, you might not be as concerned about the extra innings because you'd have more off days. I'm a baseball purist, but I also understand.
Well, but I love the extra inning rule, but I would never be okay with him doing it in the 8th inning. But
would you have him do it in the playoffs?
Yes.
You said yes.
Only in the extra
dumb.
innings. In the extra innings, you've played a baseball game. The baseball game has been played. You've played the rules of baseball. You play 9 innings. After that, the idea that the rules have to remain the same are antithetic. No other sport does it that way. There's no other sport that just says we're going to keep playing the game. Now, you could argue they should.
The NBA does.
The NBA is the closest.
They don't change anything.
That's the closest.
But,
you're right. The NBA would be the closest.
But hockey changes it.
But
hockey does what baseball does. They have a regular season gimmick, and then playoffs, they play hockey.
I would actually argue that there is a gimmick in basketball, which is that they don't give you more fouls. If you got 5 fouls during a college basketball game, they say, even though the game went longer, you're screwed. Sorry, you're out. You don't get to play in this. There is elements of this in every sport. Every sport has their elements of how they change their game in the extra innings.
Which is why you should have the golden at bat.
And if you want to do it in extra innings, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
I'll give it to you in the extra innings. 1,000%.
So you're with me now. Okay, good.
There we go. Something like that. Quickly, number 3. This is the silly one. Number 3, would you rather?
I'll take the 6-inning rule.
Okay, thank you, Griffin. Number 3, would you rather?
Please don't chime in like that after we've already adjudicated this.
There's there's a weird white elephant gift exchange at your holiday party. It's very strange. And you end up coming away with one of these 2 gifts. The first, now settle down because I know you'll get excited.
Okay.
A betting ticket.
Well, I'm a yes.
That would pay you $1,000 if Jameis Winston doesn't throw another pick 6 this season. Or 250 steak and ale pies. I know you'd say, why are you asking that? Because apparently this week there was a van stolen that had 25,000 steak and ale pies in it. Yeah.
So read this to me again.
One gift you could get.
Okay.
I think I said the wrong number. 2,500 steak and ale pies.
Okay.
One gift you could get is a betting slip that would pay you $1,000 if Jameis Winston doesn't throw another pick 6 this year.
Okay.
Or 250 steak and ale meat pies.
And what do I do with them?
You can do whatever you like with them.
You
could eat them. You could sell them. You could give them as gifts. Whatever you want to do with them. They're your pies.
Okay. Do you know how many calories are in those?
I don't. Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I don't think they're particularly healthy. I don't. Are you suggesting you'd eat them at once? Is that
just kind of wondered. Yeah. I mean, if I eat one a day, what am I going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
Give me the $1,000 betting slip.
You're gonna ride. You're never cashing it.
I believe God has got great plans for Jameis.
After he asked God to be delivered from pick 6s.
Here's what I'd say. Mm-hmm. I'm on the record of this. He won't throw another pick 6 this year.
Stop it.
He won't.
What are you betting? You already owe us a Chinese lunch.
Yeah, I'll bet you a Chinese lunch.
Well, you haven't paid the last one.
Because we don't ever go to Owings Mills anymore.
It's true. I don't know if we're welcome over there or not. I'm not sure how they feel about it. So
they better win some games.
Well, I would agree with that. But legit.
I would take the $1,000 betting slip. I don't think he's...
No, but you're going to make this bet about Jameis Winston. He won't throw another pick 6.
I'll eat that sandwich.
No, we're not doing that.
I'll eat that sandwich.
You're not getting that.
I've always had a yearning for that thing again. What is it?
It's the Oreo Spam. And
it was so good.
The
only caveat...
What was
no, you wanted to put mayonnaise on it. I couldn't have mayonnaise.
So we put something else on it.
I was allergic to it.
I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was pickle, I think is what we put on it.
It was so good.
You were allergic to mayonnaise. Nonsense. This is the deal. You're making a bet right now.
Yeah, he won't throw another pick 6.
And if he does, you're taking us out for a Chinese lunch.
Yes. And here's what I'll do.
Uh-huh.
I'll go over there to Ichiban and bring it over here for you. I'll bring it right here. We'll eat it.
All right. I mean, I don't know if they're open at 10 a.m. I don't know if that's an option.
I'll talk to the lady. She knows me.
Oh, that's how close you are.
Believe me.
Boy.
Tina.
Spend a lot of time over
Mr.
there.
Drew, how's the golfing team?
Yeah.
That's what she always says to me.
Got a nice mug.
She always goes, how's the golfing team?
You say, well, other than the coach.
So, yeah, I'll bring you food.
All right. And now what if
he's not?
I mean,
He's not throwing another pick six.
All right.
I think
there's no side.
I also, I mean, it's.
There's no side to this.
And I'm telling you why. I'm telling you why he's not.
We had nothing to do with it.
I'm telling you why he's not.
Why?
Because of God.
Because he asked to be delivered from
You'll
pick
see.
sixes.
You'll see. You boys might not be believers now.
All right, we're bringing.
But you're
going
to
to
be
in trouble for the stolen.
No, they're yours now. They're
you're going to be a believer.
Meat pies.
This is a win. I'd take either.
Remember when Jesus said?
I'll take both.
I'm taking
Remember when
Scott.
Jesus said to Thomas?
Yeah.
Thomas said, "Unless I can see the holes in your hands."
No, I wasn't there, so I don't. Yeah.
Thomas said to Jesus, all the disciples said,
"This is doubting Thomas."
Right. All of the guys who were at the Last Supper, they all were gathered around again, and one of them said they saw Jesus in town, and Thomas said, "You got to be kidding me. Jesus is dead." And they're like, "No, he isn't. He's back."
He's just hanging out at
and
a bar.
Thomas said, "Unless I see the holes in his hands." And Jesus walked in. He's like, "What's going on with you?" And showed him his hands.
Yeah, here's what's up.
You guys are going to face the exact same thing.
You're going to have holes in your hands?
No.
When
he doesn't throw another,
happening?
when he doesn't
it's
throw
really bad for golf.
When he doesn't throw another pick six,
all right.
You guys are going to be believers.
All right, let's put first of all, real quick.
He works in mysterious ways.
Hour number 2 of the show is brought to you by the Ed Block Courage Awards and the Holiday party that they are throwing.
By the way, I don't know if we can get an award for this show today, but
this
is an award
it's
winner.
high up there, right? It's high up there. I got to run both these scenarios by Gordon McGuiness, by the way, in 1 second. So anyway, Monday night, this is a great opportunity for you to meet one of the most popular Ravens. Get your tickets for the Ed Block Courage Award Foundation's Holiday Party, December 9th at the Evolved Hospitality Catering Hall in Falston with special guest host Zay Flowers. The event includes a live podcast show, audience Q&A, meet and greet, and photo op with the Raven star wide receiver, tailgate buffet from 3-time Best of Baltimore chef Zach Trabold of the renowned The Local Restaurants. Donate a toy to support the children at St. Vincent's Villa and receive an autographed picture from Zay. Tickets are $100 each. They're available right now. bidpal.net/Holiday24. Now, Gordon McGuiness, our favorite Scotsman, Pro Football Focus, PFF Gordon. Good morning, sir. It's Glenn and Drew. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I apologize for our silliness this morning. Now, I got to run both these scenarios by you. Drew just made a bet with us that if Jameis Winston doesn't throw another pick six this season, he's going to buy us a Chinese lunch. What are the odds that we are not getting a Chinese lunch?
I mean, if you look at the way Jameis Winston throws the football, like there are going to be throws he makes that have the opportunity to be returned for a touchdown.
There are.
Like he could have had more, I think, on Monday night.
He sure could have.
He was going for the hat trick. He just ran out of time. I mean, the one he threw where the guy just ran into it in the end zone, it was like he said, I think this guy needs some goodness in his life.
I feel like sharing it with
Right.
him. I feel like
there's a guy open. Let me throw it to him.
Now, I don't know. Have you heard about the great meat pie theft in London this week?
I have not, no.
Okay, there was a van that had 2,500 steak and ale pies in it that was stolen, and the pies are missing. So it inspired part of Would You Rather Wednesday this week, which is stay with me, all right? You go to a White Elephant gift exchange, and you come away with one of these very odd gifts. You either come away with a ticket that would pay you $1,000 if Jameis Winston doesn't throw another pick six this week, or you walk out of the White Elephant gift exchange with 250 steak and ale pies.
I feel like I'm going to take the ticket because even though I think it's likely that Jameis throws another pick, I don't know what I'm going to do with
I
250
can't
steak
believe
and ale
you,
pies.
of all people, aren't taking the steak and ale pies. I can't believe that.
He's going to be – he asked for God's intervention, and God's
did.
going to help. I'm
He
telling
said,
you.
deliver me from pick sixes. All right, Gordon McGuiness. Look, everybody in Baltimore is obsessed with Justin Tucker right now, understandably so. But the other part is that the Ravens offense has probably had their 2 worst games of the season in the last 3 weeks of the year. Is there a bigger problem? Is it anomaly? Is it, hey, these games happen? Is there something going on offensively that we're not talking about the way that we should because we're only talking about Justin Tucker?
I think the thematic issue with the Ravens offense is they struggle against good defensive lines. So we saw it in the season opener against the Chiefs, and then it kind of went away, and a lot of the narrative about the offensive line was, hey, things are improving, they're managing to kind of tick along. And then you get to the Steelers game and then the Eagles game this week, and when they go up against particularly really good guys on the interior, the inexperience at guard, I think, really shows. And I think that puts a lot of stress on the offense. I think that's why you see Lamar dropping back a little bit further than they should and drifting back in the pocket and all those different things. I think that all those things kind of add up and cause them some problems.
You know, one of the interesting things, speaking specifically about that, the battle in the trench, I call it in the trenches. You know what I'm talking about, the guard to guard. But you're the whole issue with, and the Buffalo game, I think, was an example of the Ravens getting a break there. Obviously, Buffalo with a good defensive interior, and then they were hurt, and we kind of ran over them. And I don't know if that created a little bit of some false security. My roundabout question to you is, are the right pieces in place? And obviously I'm talking about Voorhees in Cleveland, a lot of people in town clamoring for them. Are the right pieces in place, and have they seen enough now from this group to say we're going to have to ride with them, and probably they're going to play the Steelers at least one more time, if not twice, and probably have to play Kansas City at least one more time if they go far in the playoffs?
I think I don't know how much better the other guys can be. I think Voorhees really struggled at the start of the year, and I think it almost got hidden a little bit because of how much Faalele was struggling at right guard, that he was kind of the focus point that everyone was focusing on. Voorhees, I think, for me, was arguably worse over the first few weeks of the season. I probably wouldn't make a switch at left guard. I think McCarry is good enough. He had an awful game against the Eagles. So I think he's probably the best option at left guard. I would have tried Ben Cleveland before now at right guard, because I think what you see with Daniel Faalele is he is so big that for some guys it's hard to get around him, right? And especially when he gets to the second level. If you're not a good linebacker and you don't have the right athleticism, it's kind of difficult to get around him because he's the biggest guard in football and he's, a huge mass to get around. Any linebacker with any kind of hint of athleticism, like we saw from Zach Bond from the Eagles this past week, can get under those blocks really quickly. And because he's so big, his footwork isn't where it needs to be. He can't get and sustain those blocks consistently at the second level. So if I was making any switch, it would probably be at right guard.
He is Gordon McGuiness, PFF. He is with us here on GCR. Gordon, a lot has been made, and there was obviously that humorous quip on Sunday from Lamar Jackson where he said he's got cussed out by his mom about not running. It's something that we've talked about a lot, and I realize the conversation is a bit more global than just are the yards there, because you take into account how much do you want him to run and wear and tear, the whole thing. But it feels like it can't just be a bunch of dumb guys thinking they see something. It just feels like there's got to be more opportunities in this part of the season for there to be places where Lamar Jackson says, hey, the best thing for me to do in this spot, like the line is held up long enough, the clock's got to be going, I've got to be considering taking off at this point.
I think if you look at like his rushing attempts per game over the season, those first few weeks, right, he had 16 carries against the Chiefs. Against the Cowboys a couple of weeks later, he had 14. And then the second half of the year, that's really dropped off.
Yeah, it's like 7 now, right, or 8.
Yeah. It doesn't have double-digit carry game, I think, since the Washington game of week 6. And anecdotally, I think it's probably a get to the playoffs and then he'll take more chances. Like, it felt like that Chiefs game, it felt like it was personal to him and he wanted to run and he wanted contact because they don't like the Chiefs. That was my feeling coming out of week 1 was, I don't think I'd ever seen him take contact as much as he took in that week 1 game, and it looked like he was looking for it, which that's not a situation where I think the Ravens want. But I think it has now overcorrected itself too much, whereby there are some opportunities being missed. And I think definitely in the playoffs, but probably down the stretch, I think we'll start to see that creep back up, because I think the Ravens really miss it just now.
Gordon, when you look back, and I hate to, it's almost unfair to even bring up these first 2 playoff losses in his career, the Chargers game and then the Titans after that. But it definitely happened last year also in that Chiefs loss. And then you mentioned the Steelers game, and then we saw it again the other day. All those games kind of look the same. He isn't able to get outside. The middle of the field is bunched up. I don't know, man. It always looks the same. Like we've seen this script before. You could see it on Sunday. What are those defenses doing to kind of compartmentalize him, and what are the Ravens not seeing that's leading to those? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about when I say like this, just the look that these games take. The scores are always kind of similar. They're always 20-12 or 19-13. Or what are these defenses doing that are keeping him kind of sequestered in there?
So to really simplify it, I don't know that this is specific to Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I think if you look at any top quarterback, the way to slow down a top quarterback is to be able to get pressure with 4. If you can get pressure with 4, you can flood the middle of the field more. All the best quarterbacks in the NFL are great at finding passes over the middle. And great defenses, when they can really put you in a lot of trouble, is when they can generate pressure specifically on the interior with only having to rush those 4 guys. And then you have to speed up your decision making. There's less space for you because your receivers haven't had enough time to get open yet. And all of those things start to kind of stack on top of each other. Now, where I think it impacts Lamar possibly more than others, I don't know if this is specific to him or not, but it definitely feels like, or has felt like this season, that when he has had a game whereby the offensive line is giving up a lot of pressure early, it feels like that impacts him more and more as the game goes on, and you see him hold the ball and drift a little bit deeper because he's kind of expecting that pressure to come, and it causes them some problems.
Gordon, on the other side of the ball, the Ravens have played, probably their best stretch of defense these last 3 weeks and have gone from the worst pass defense in the NFL to statistically one of the better pass defenses in the NFL. And I know opponents matter and game circumstances matter, but are you seeing, like, how do you dissect what has changed? Is this real? Is this anomaly? On the other side of the ball where things have been encouraging, obviously, despite the 1-2 record in these 3 games.
I think it's definitely real. I was a little bit dubious after the Steelers game that some of it was because Russell Wilson's not a good middle of the field passer, and that's
Right.
where the Ravens had really struggled. You fast forward a couple of weeks though, and it's hard to deny, outside of maybe 2 drives against the Eagles, they did a really nice job of at least slowing them down as they go down the field. I think the big thing is just replacing Marcus Williams with Kyle Hamilton, and Kyle Hamilton he can't have the same impact at free safety than he does when he's in the box. He can be a guy that you blitz and generate pressure. I think he's the single best NFL defender against screen passes, and all those things get impacted when you have him deep. But it has just settled everything down, and it's forced offenses to have to sustain longer drives. And I think having him on the back end has allowed Roquan Smith to not have to cover as many yards deep. I think probably one of the biggest problems for the Ravens defense in the first 10 or so games of the year was just how much they were asking of Roquan Smith, because he was covering for issues on the back end at safety and a more inexperienced linebacker next to him instead of Patrick Queen. So those things factoring in, I think, have helped them a lot there.
One of the other things that the number of snaps for Odafe Owe on Sunday, particularly with Kyle Van Noy not being out there, and the explanation that was given by John Harbaugh was, well, we were in a run defense. Like it felt like as well as they played, they still needed a couple more big plays on Sunday that could have impacted the game. What did you make of that explanation? Was that legitimate? And is there a way they can still generate some more big plays if they are now more comfortable kind of in a base defense?
I think I understand it as a concept, right? Like Owe, I actually don't think Owe's a bad run defender. I think he's pretty solid in that regard. But I do understand wanting to go with Robinson instead up there, because you're bit more beef and you can cause those issues. But I do think the inability to create big plays, I think probably comes from the fact that they don't have a guy who will just go and win as a pass rusher, right? Like they lack a guy on the edge who is consistently going to give guys problems. They lack the guy that opposing teams have to account for, whereby they have to double team or chip or do all those things. So they're relying on guys trying to win one-on-one when they're not necessarily
didn't play. And even last week, he's getting a lot more time. What have you thought of his performance?
I think it's solid enough for effectively what is a role player. He's obviously playing more over the last few weeks, but it's heavily focused on run defense. The Ravens kind of used more of a platoon where they rotated in Chris Board and other guys in there. But if you, especially as you get late in the year and you're going to have to stop the run in cold weather games, there is value in that. And he's not going to be an every snap guy because he's not good enough in coverage. But there is value that the Ravens can get out of him, and they are getting out of him.
Yeah, he's been. For a guy who was almost kind of a forgotten guy there for a while, I think he's acquitted himself well here recently.
All right, I don't know if this is your area or not, Gordon, but a lot of consternation this week about Jordan Stout. I don't know how much you dive into punters, but it doesn't feel like he's offering something that is particularly special. What do you make of that conversation?
I think that's fair. I haven't done it for a while, but one of my previous jobs at PFF was I was responsible for all of our special teams processes.
Okay.
So this used to be something I spent a lot of time on, and truthfully, like most of the special team stuff, you focus on the non-specialists because the punter is
right.
How well they punt the ball, whereas the other stuff's all way more intricate. But I think it's fair to say that it's not anything special. Like right now we have Stout as like the 18th highest graded punter in the NFL, which is fine, and on a rookie contract, that's fine, but he's not playing well enough whereby I would be overly thinking about a long-term contract extension that costs a good chunk of money. The consistency just isn't there. He definitely has the ability to punt the ball well. When he was in college, was a really good punter, but the consistency hasn't really been there in the NFL yet. It just seems to be a good few times a season whereby he has bad punts, and that causes the Ravens some problems.
I think it's a fair way of saying it. That, like it's tracking towards you're just looking to draft another punter and figure out if the next guy.
See, Gordon stops short of saying he's not a real football player like you like to do.
Settle down over there.
You like to say the kickers and the punters.
Settle down over there. Gordon McGuiness, what can we plug for you, my friend?
Just PFF in general. Just go and check out what we have on there. There's the usual stats and articles that you can find, and hopefully there's something that will keep people interested.
It's got to warm your soul when you, you're everywhere now, right? I mean, PFF in terms of the amount of respect that you and your site are given by people who know football. I did a Q&A with Eric DaCosta back in the fall at my high school, and he referenced PFF. Like, football people are referencing you. That's got to be a heartwarming thing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, I was obviously here kind of pretty near the start when the company was founded. And, it's not like I came from like a media background. I kind of got into this as a part-timer, and I've been able to stick with the company for a good while. So it's really cool to see it be talked about. There was a clip on social media last week where Mike McDaniel, as one of his players was coming off the field, said something to him. It was like the Dolphins version of Wired, and he's coming off the field and he pats him on the shoulder and is like, "Oh, your PFF pass rushing grade's going to be crazy this week." It's just wild to see that used as often as it is these days.
That's awesome. Gordon McGuiness, always appreciate you, man. Thank you for spending the time with us this morning. Let's do it again real soon, all right?
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
Gordon did you McGuiness, see, speaking of Mike McDaniel, did you see the unattributed quote from the Green Bay game?
No.
Oh, man. One of his guys lit him up about halftime. McDaniel went into the locker room at halftime, and they had brought a heater in. And he like, stood next to the heater freezing, shivering and freezing, and, like, didn't talk to the team. And the players are like...
Is this real?
Oh, no, it's real. And the players were like, not really what we wanted to see from our football coach.
Right.
Standing in the corner next to the heater.
There was the clip of him that they kept showing where he's like holding his play sheet, and he's like, I think it's the wind that is like because it's windy, and that was blowing his play. But he's like literally, it looks like he's shivering. With how much the play sheet.
Have you?
Shaking.
And speaking of this, I've read it in 2 or 3 different places.
I've seen the places on the internet.
No. And have you also seen the clip of him at some point when he was playing in college? Have you seen the clip of him running pass routes?
So at some point, I know I have.
Oh my God!
At some point,
I've seen it on
Have
Yahoo.
you seen it?
It's on Yahoo. The locker room thing that Drew was talking about.
Yeah, but have you seen the clips of him running pass routes? It's unbelievable. Like he was the fast white guy that like no one could.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see him, and all the players are gathered around watching him cut around people. It was pretty cool. He's an interesting dude.
I'm not sure how good of a coach he is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure about that.
This is a weird year, right? The playoffs are set pretty much.
Basically now, yeah. So Cincinnati being eliminated.
I mean, Denver is only 2 games up on Indy,
right?
But Denver's going to win 9 or 10 games,
probably. And there's nothing about Indy.
I'll tell you something. Denver is not a patsy.
Yeah,
They're not a patsy. I'm telling you.
You say that.
They're not.
I don't. What is it that particularly impresses you about Denver?
I think they're getting confident. Other than the other night, their defense has been good.
Well, and against the Ravens,
okay, right. But other than the other night, their defense.
Other than the times they've been ripped apart.
Okay, but they've played 13 games. Their defense is big, and I'm telling you, there's. I think the jury is still out on this kid at quarterback. But I think they're getting close to a verdict.
I think he's solid, right?
I do too.
But I also think that his high end is still a little bit beneath. Could he be Josh Allen? He has some of those skills. I think that they need to surround him appropriately in order to try to figure out the way to get that out of him. I don't think that I would bet on that being the case, but I think he's a good player. This is my issue with Denver is that, like, who have they done it against that impresses you?
Right, I get it.
They beat the Buccaneers early on in the season. That was okay. Their wins are the Buccaneers, the Jets.
They beat the Jets.
The Raiders, the Saints, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Raiders.
But that's how they have 8 wins.
I agree. Yeah. But, like, that's why I'm not really –
Yeah, I don't think they're going to Buffalo for the first game and winning 27-20.
I think that they are on the right track, and I think if they get better, even more good players offensively.
They haven't made the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl?
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
It's nuts.
I mean, they've had a quarterback problem.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
of course, they had the quarterback problem the year they won the Super Bowl, and they won the Super Bowl anyway, which is one of the wilder things that's ever happened.
That was with Peyton.
Yes, but he sucked.
No, that was with Peyton, not Peyton.
Thank you. My kids are obsessed with that.
It's the best commercial. It might be the best commercial ever made. You mean Peyton, right?
Yeah,
Peyton.
I don't know.
He looks back at her. He goes.
I said this last night. I don't know how they decide the Academy Awards, but one thing we're not going to do this year is pretend like there's been a better acting job in 2024.
I know.
Than the guy from the Liberty Mutual commercial who says, "No, I can't even do it the way he can do it."
When the wax figures melt.
Oh my! It's melting. Like that guy.
Peyton Manning.
Those lines.
Peyton Manning.
Find that commercial real quick.
Peyton Manning might be the funniest human being in the world, other than Nate Bargatze and Bill Burr.
See he's coming to the arena. Bargatze. He's coming to CFG Bank Arena.
August 22nd, right?
Oh, you're already on it.
Yeah.
You're already on it.
But Peyton Manning, there's no question the 2 funniest brothers in America are Peyton and Eli.
I don't think they're. And we're going to push back on that.
They're hilarious.
They're okay.
They're perfect for one another.
You can have that. I'll let you have that.
Is he a Hall of Famer, by the way, Eli?
Eli,
who's getting in this
year?
year?
He's getting in.
This year?
Probably.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, people are obsessed with this.
Okay.
Like he beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. He does not have a Hall of Fame career by any stretch of the imagination. But they're going to put him in because of the Hall of Fame anomaly.
Well, are you gonna write the history of the NFL without making prominent mention of him? And the answer to that's no.
I don't know about that.
Well, you're not. You're going to write about the history of the NFL.
You're going to make prominent mention of the time he beat the undefeated team in the Super Bowl. Like, that part I agree. But was it that Eli Manning beat them? Was it that
you're writing his name. For sure.
Okay, but then where are you going to put David Tyree in?
No, but he's the quarterback of the team.
I understand that, but that's sort of my point. Like, that to me is not alone enough of an argument.
By the way, I honestly don't think he's a Hall of Famer either.
But he's getting in.
But he's getting in.
He's getting in.
Who's getting in this time? Suggs?
I assume Suggs is getting in, and I kind of poked around about it a little bit. They might. Oh, Chris is ready? Okay, my apologies. All right, we'll get the great Chris Myers is about to join us. I assume that Suggs is
I got
getting
some cool moments for him.
But Jared Allen is also still
He's
there.
on my list of getting in.
Like,
he has to get in.
Who, Jared Allen?
He was a game wrecker.
I agree. I think Suggs was the overall better football player. And so I think if it came down to which of these two should get in, Suggs should be higher on the list. But the way they think about it, the way of like who's waited longer, who's
right,
like, that's the one area where Suggs could end up not getting in because they just decide they're going to put Jared Allen in instead. They've got to put a wide receiver in because Larry Fitzgerald's next year, so they're not putting.
Torrey Holt's been eligible for 27 years.
Reggie Wayne are both Hall of Famers.
Reggie Wayne has to get in.
One of them, I think, is getting in this year. Antonio Gates. I mean, what are you doing if Antonio Gates?
Right. If he's not in,
if Antonio Gates and Luke Kuechly aren't Hall of Famers, I don't know what the point
then
of
close
having a Hall
close
of
it down.
Famers.
Right.
But that's the problem. We're already at 7 now. So somebody's not getting in.
Chris Myers is a Hall of Famer.
I don't disagree with that. Our next guest here on GCR.
First ballot.
Admittedly, I have been jumping around in the book because I knew I wasn't going to have time to read all of it, although it turns out I read a lot more of it than I thought I was going to be able to. This man, of course, you've known him all throughout the years, Fox, ESPN. He's done everything. He's done play-by-play. He's done sidelines. He was the host of Up Close. He has a great new book out right now. It's called That Deserves a Wow. He's the great Chris Myers, and he's with us this morning here on GCR. Chris, Glenn, Drew here in Baltimore. Great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us. Oh, we have all that, Griffin. I did all that setup.
Sorry, Chris, you're on mute.
Chris, can you unmute yourself, please? Oh, apologies. It happens to the best of us in this era of Zoom. Chris, can you hear me? All right.
I think
hey, there we go.
Okay,
Chris Myers.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought I was kind of waiting for you, or we were doing a tease to a break there.
Oh,
Sorry
no. We won't make you wait through a break. There's no way that I'm making you wait through a break, Chris Myers.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, and I liked your spirited discussion. I was listening to the Hall of Fame. That's a good. There's a Hall of. This has been brought up. The Hall of the Very Good.
Right.
And I think we've watered things down to the really great ones. But I don't know. The more people that get in, I guess the better it is overall. But I mean, you compare it. I mean, the numbers are so different. Nothing passes the eye test past me. I mean, that's what I would use along with numbers, I think. But there's so many factors. But anyway, it was a good discussion.
So, Chris, I'll let you chime in on the Eli Manning thing if you could for us, because
you know what? I relate him a little bit to a different era with Joe Namath, where Joe Namath won a Super Bowl for the Jets. You look at the numbers. I mean, Eli Manning, the numbers are average. He had big performances in the postseason, which goes a long way with me to get a couple of rings. But I don't think when you start listing Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and Dan Marino's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he never won a Super Bowl. So yeah, he had the advantage of playing in New York and having a defense, but he delivered on the big stage, and so maybe that's why I think he will get in. Though I heard that part of the discussion, whether we feel he should be in or not.
Yeah, I feel like if he's Eli Manning in Atlanta and they win 2 Super Bowls, he's totally looked at differently, and that's not to disparage him. I just think he's looked at completely on a different level. You mentioned it, media, New York.
His brothers,
never
is he?
Funds, yeah, never got in trouble. Like he was a Hall of Fame guy and a very good quarterback.
Yeah, and that's a good point though. He did handle situations well when things weren't going well, and the Manning name goes a long way. Just in it's pro football royalty in terms of a name, so that helps the cause.
He is, of course, Chris Myers. The book That Deserves a Wow. Chris, I'm all over the place in this one.
I got 2 good ones too.
Well, there's a few really good stories related to some Baltimore sports figures that you told in this book. And since we're doing this locally, I wanted to start there. And like this, I never had heard you tell the story about John Harbaugh and your son, and how meaningful that was for you.
Yeah, and the owner of the Ravens, Steve Bisciotti, who I met just that one time, but really stood out. I know he stays in the, behind the scenes as an owner, but great respect. Yeah, don't talk about that a whole lot, but covering a Ravens game sideline, which is a regular season, was cold. We come from California. My teenage son Christopher coming along. He went only on a few road trips, but wanted to go to this one. He kind of was intrigued by the Ravens, and we go to the game early, and I'm out there as the field reporter, just looking for things to get ready for the game. And John Harbaugh comes out and says hi, and I introduce my son. And because we came from the West Coast at the time, not used to the cooler weather, so and I had a coat that Fox had provided. My son had one, but not heavy enough. So Harbaugh said, I go into the locker room there and tell the trainer, I forget his name, I mentioned it, but John Harbaugh said, and give him a coat, like his own coat that he kept, and it was really touching. and the owner Steve came out and said hello. But it meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to my son, because that doesn't happen on a regular basis. Anyway, I thought that was important to put in there, because he talked about it a lot. It made him a Ravens fan, and it made me a fan of Harbaugh and Steve for that reason.
That's a really, really cool story. I also loved you had a kind of this one. I think that people like my friend Griffin, who's our producer on this show, would never understand the interaction that you had with Frank Robinson once upon a time, where he wasn't aware of the network that you worked for.
Yeah, it was very early, my first year at ESPN, and they were about 10 years old, but they just weren't on every cable channel or satellite system. And I was trying to fight into a crowd to ask a question with the new ESPN logo at the time for us, and said, I'm with ESPN. And he turned, he said, is that a Spanish channel? And everybody kind of laughed. But he was respectful and answered the question. But the point was that's how, and then all of a sudden, years later in the 90s, and I was grateful to have that, what I call the golden years, really the growth years of ESPN, because they were the only game in town in terms of a 24-hour sports channel. We didn't have, every sport didn't have their own channel. And at college, everybody from college went there to get scores and highlights, and sports around the clock was a dream come true. And then they, of course, expanded and things went on from there. And so they became, then it was, everybody knew who ESPN was.
No doubt. And I'm going to let Drew ask his question, but I want to throw in the one other kind of local connection that I loved in this book. And by the way, if you want to sell a book in Baltimore, just say, hey, I've got an Art Donovan story for you.
Right.
And we're
Yes, there was a line of, he was such a blast. Him and Harry Carey were two people, not to interrupt you, but to sit down when I had not only on the air, but off the air, the stories. And again, I don't want to compromise anybody's privacy in the book, but I'm trying to tell stories in the business from the inside out of experiences that I think people would appreciate, and interesting people. And he certainly, he had me laughing where I almost couldn't come back from a break to do my job. He was so funny naturally without trying to be funny.
That's what made him great. That's what made him the best.
I do have a cool moment I wanted to mention to you just to get your take on it, because I know you'll be familiar with it. It's a golf story. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Chris, about, it's not necessarily germane to the book, but you were in Atlanta the night of the Olympic bombing. And I would love to just get a minute from you on what was that like.
Oh, I got to apologize. Drew hasn't read the book yet, so he doesn't know about the shorts.
Oh, yes, it is right. It is in the book. Yeah.
So, what was the atmosphere like that night? And you were there, kind of on site, with no one really knowing what else was going to happen. It had to be kind of a crazy scene, right, for a sports guy to be in this environment of, you're covering sports, and all of a sudden, hey, I got to be a little concerned about my own safety.
Yeah, and that's where this book, it's kind of got a little Forrest Gump in that. There was quite a few stops, which is why people approached me to write the book. They were like, you're at the World Series with the Asian Giants, an earthquake breaks out. You're doing the Daytona 500, Dale Earnhardt, the face of the sport, hits the wall, dies in the Great American Race. And you're not just there as a witness, you're broadcast. You have to bring that to the audience. And then, as you mentioned, the Olympics in Atlanta, and I was there doing the up-close interview, and I was taping during the day. We were at the Chamber of Commerce, right, overlooking kind of part of the Olympic Village. During the day, it was like 100 degrees. It felt like it. And I taped like a Charles Barkley interview, Tom Brokaw, NBC had the rights. And we would tape those for the up-close show. And it was so hot, I'd wear like these, just behind the desk, the old anchor thing where I wear like Bermuda shorts or some shorts because I was just melting, and I still had to have the jacket and tie on. And in the evening, I'd go back and just do a Sports Center wraparound over the late highlights because we couldn't show the video. But we were the only ones there, cameraman, me. And so anyway, I hear like a crackle while I'm doing some boxing highlights, and I think it's fireworks or something. And then I hear sirens, I see red lights, and I'm like, okay, we break down the taping. And I said, the producer, there's something going on here, and we got to get on it. And so we stayed. We weren't really supposed to. They wanted us to leave the building for safety reasons, but I said, hey, they told us it was okay just to kind of stay because we only had one camera and the access to go live and shoot from the interior. They started blocking off the other areas because at the time you didn't know if there were more bombs, terrorism, if there were other deaths or tragedies. And so we stayed on through the night doing updates throughout. They picked it up on some of the overnight network news shows, which the camera would pan down sometimes, and people were teasing me about wearing shorts and a coat and tie still doing the reporting. But it was eerie, and thankfully it was not as bad in terms of the loss of life for the numbers. But it was one of those moments that hey, you're there to do sports, and a story breaks out that's really bigger than sports.
Yeah. Yeah, when Glenn told me what you were coming on today, he got me chasing down a rabbit hole of cool things that I've seen. I'm 61, so I've seen a lot of really cool sports moments. And the one that's really resonating with me, and it's 5 years old, was this moment with Gary Woodland, the golfer, and the young girl with Down syndrome that he brought out onto the golf course at the Phoenix Pro-Am. Amy Bockerstedt, I don't know if you remember that, and brought her out onto the course, and she made a par on that 17th hole, or 16th hole, that crazy hole, and Gary Woodland brought her out there, and her famous line was, he kept giving her reasons to back out. He's like, "You really want to hit a shot?" She's like, "Yeah, I got this." And she hit it into the bunker, and he's like, "You want to hit a sand shot, or you want me to just throw it up on the green?" She's like, "I'll hit the sand shot." He's like, "You sure?" She's like, "I got this." She hits it to 15 feet, and then he's like, "You got to make the putt now," and everybody's screaming, and she rolls this par putt in. It just was it was really a cool moment, and I found that kind of after Glenn told me about your book, so thank you for that.
Yeah, no, one of those special moments.
And he went on to win the U.S. Open that year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yes, that's part of the story. I mean, my story goes back. I have one deeper with Jack Nicklaus and his last Masters and being assigned to that, which if anybody gets a chance to go and attend, and we watch on TV, but there was magic in the air, and it's kind of a rallying point for the great Jack Nicklaus. Made me more of a golf fan. But so pretty much every sport is mentioned in here, including the Mike Tyson story, where he practically attacks me in his back patio by the pool because I asked him about Holyfield, and thanks. I mean, it was a scary. That I was more afraid there than sitting face to face with O.J. Simpson after his trials.
Jeez, Chris Myers. Again, is our guest, and the book is That Deserves a Wow. We've linked it up on our Twitter account, @GlennClarkRadio. Chris, it was interesting to me because, reading both chapters about the O.J. interview, I could sense there's been a topic recently in media about whether or not you choose to interview someone, because the idea is, the concept is that you're normalizing this person if you interview them. And I feel like you're a fascinating person to ask this question or this theory to, because you make it very clear you had your opinions about O.J., but you all pursued the interview with O.J. and accepted it and did it, and it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I was fascinated by that. Like, was there ever a point where you thought, maybe I shouldn't do this? Were you so confident in your abilities as an interviewer that you didn't think that there was any world in which he was going to come off like it was a win for him doing it? Can you kind of take me through that?
Yeah, well, I think he thought it was going to be a win for him. And actually, we had tried to get him on the show before the incident happened, right, when I was on hosting Up Close. And then it happens. And so then years later, after both trials, they approached me and say, OJ with his representative, our guest analyst, our guest booker on the show, "Hey, OJ would still like to come on." I'm thinking, like, what? After all the we hadn't heard from him in years. We watched this trial of the century, this iconic character. So I said, well, yeah, I'm obviously, we asked before, we were going to talk about his football career and acting before the double murder trial and then the wrongful death suit. And this was the first live interview. Here's what compelled me to do it a little bit more. Barbara Walters tried to do the interview. According to him, he turned her down because she would only tape it. And he thought, I'm not going to do a taped interview. Somebody can edit it and make me look guilty, even more guilty, maybe. His conditions were it had to be live, and I couldn't ask about his children. I thought that was fair. And I said, well, I need to ask. We can probably do that, but I need to ask whatever I want to ask. And this is the reason why I felt to do it. I'm not glorifying a killer, as some people accuse me, although I did have some doubts about doing it. In fact, one of the attorneys who defended him in the book told me not to do it because everybody associated with OJ is negative. It's a bad thing. But I'm like, no, this is a responsibility I have because he never took the stand. We all watched this, and I wanted to ask the questions, and that's what I was confident about. I'm not a lawyer or a judge, but I had time to research. And I wanted to ask the questions, had he been on the stand, that we all would have asked, and then let people judge themselves. I tried not to be the prosecutor or the judge or the jury in this, but I met with lawyers, I met with detectives, I met with other prosecutors, Vincent Bugliosi, who put Charles Manson away. I was so consumed that I'd be at home and they'd say pass the salt, and I'd say object, and they were like, relax, Chris, you're not on yet. So I felt, and there was research and I had it in front of me, and so I thought it was a moment that I owed it. And Bill Murray, Bill Murray, who wrote the foreword, a friend of mine through the years, and I talked to him about, I bounced a lot of stuff off him because he's very creative and an astute, knowledgeable sportsman. He said, you got to do it. Don't, in fact, I had a few death threats. Some people protested about putting him on the air. He thought he'd repair his image. I thought I would show people what he was really all about. And afterwards, I think we accomplished what we wanted to, because the ultimate compliment came from the Goldman family about, thank you. Somebody finally asked the questions and let everybody see, what a liar and what an in denial kind of person that he is. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but there's a lot to that. It's a great question though, because it was debated, even our network, ESPN.
What do you make big picture of the concept of you shouldn't interview this person? It would be normalizing them. What do you make of that big picture?
Well, I think if you ask the tough questions, recently with Donald Trump going on Joe Rogan and had Kamala Harris gone on Joe Rogan, I think whether you like people or not, as long as you're not putting them on and making excuses for them. And that was the one thing I just wasn't going to do, and I wasn't going to allow him. I mean, he can say whatever he wants to say in terms of the truth, but I think you owe it to your audience to ask the right questions, to not glorify somebody if you think that if you have a chance to interview this particular person. I don't think you should back away from it, especially under conditions that it is live, where everybody gets to see it play out. And afterwards, Howard Stern talked about it, Jay Leno on the Tonight Show, because he said things that we never got to hear him say, or at least address things. And then people could kind of assess whether they thought he was guilty as if they were sitting there had he taken the stand.
It's funny you bring all this up. I just saw, I don't know if you've seen it, and I don't know when this interview was, so I'm not going to suggest it was recent. It could have been years ago. But Jim Gray mentioned you. There was a discussion, there was a panel, and Jim Gray was asked pretty much this question Glenn just asked about the Pete Rose. It happened because of Pete Rose passing away, and they brought up the Jim Gray interview, and Jim mentioned you and said he said, we've had moments where we've had to interview people and we were put on the spot as reporters. They said to Jim Gray, you're going to go interview Pete. And Jim Gray's like, okay. And Jim Gray said, in speaking about himself in the third party, he said, well, if I don't ask Pete Rose the obvious question, people are going to say, Jim, you had the chance to ask him and you didn't ask him.
Right.
So I had to ask him. And then people got mad at me, and Pete Rose, when the cameras shut off, Pete Rose said, you son of a bitch, I'll never speak to you again. I can't believe you asked me that. And Jim Gray's like, dude, what did you want me to ask you? Like, what do you want me to ask you? Who you're batting for, who you're pinch hitting for in the seventh inning? Like, I got to ask you, did you bet on baseball? So it was just interesting. He brought that up and brought you up at the same time in that interview.
Chris, you still there?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's right.
It's all right.
Yeah, I had a little glitch in my phone. I don't know if somebody was dialing in, but but here's the other part of that, which is a good discussion. Where and when is it appropriate? I'm not running up and ambushing O.J. Simpson in a restaurant. I'm not. If he I don't know, if he was back doing a broadcast, let's say, I could run in there and say, hey, that. There's an appropriate place, and if somebody's playing a game or an environment, but if you have that one chance, I do think you have to be respectful about it, and I tried to do that, and I think anybody should in those situations. There is a difference sometimes in being rude with somebody at an inappropriate time, but when you have a format like that, when you know the ground rules coming in, I think it's worth doing.
Chris, the book is phenomenal. I'm greatly enjoying it. I do have to bring one thing up though, and it's not in the book.
All right.
I'm worried because I was reminded this week what we're dealing with right now in Baltimore with Justin Tucker. Did you start this? Did you ruin Justin Tucker when you jinxed him back in 2018 and he missed the extra point against the Saints? What is this? Do we have you to blame for all of this?
I'll take some of the heat so that he doesn't get all of the heat, because I know he's killing the Ravens fans. And he's been such a great kicker. The whole announcer jinx thing is funny, but people are superstitious. I hope it doesn't affect the person, the kicker, who's on the line. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm shocked. Yeah, and I've been watching. By the way, I still think the Ravens are in good shape here. I'm looking at the schedule. I mean, if Justin Tucker just does part of his job and the rest, I think they could win out. And I see the Steelers, they could win 2 or 3 of their last 3 games. So you're going to be in the playoffs, and I think the Ravens are going to be fine. But yeah, I don't have an answer for that, and I don't know. I don't think Justin Tucker does, or John Harbaugh. We know Harbaugh's comes from a special teams background. So yeah, but I do remember that moment, and I got a lot of heat for it. And after that, just like now Joe Buck does.
Well, Joe won't even mention the stats anymore. Joe just says, all right, Chris Boswell's on for a 48-yarder.
He's had a really good season.
Let's see what happens. He doesn't even mention the numbers anymore.
And then afterwards, right? He's smart.
Right.
Afterwards, he'll say, "Hey, he's now made 40 in a row from this distance."
No doubt.
Or whatever.
No doubt.
So that's probably the way to do it if that's how.
In golf, as soon as they put up on the screen, hasn't had a 3-putt in 394 holes. He's 3-putting the next hole.
Right,
for
it's
sure.
the way it's going to go. 100%.
I think we could slide in a graphic and then we can blame the guy.
Yeah, right. It's the graphics guy. It's not my fault.
We won't say that until after.
By the way, another great part of the book, Drew, you know how Chris Myers got his start? He was a sports radio caller. He was a sports
in Florida,
radio
right?
caller.
Miami?
100%.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I wasn't just, that's the funny part. I wasn't just a one call. I just would be Chris from Miami and disguise my voice and call back as
I love
from
it.
North Miami and agree with my earlier call. So I was supposed to be doing my homework. That's how I got on the show, to talk more sports. And eventually they invited me down to the radio station. I didn't even have my license yet. My father had to drive me down. He said, "Son, you're going to have to tell them the truth here." And I thought they were going to tell me to beat it. And they said, "Hey, when you get your license, kid, if you want to work weekends here behind the scenes," and then eventually, so that's kind of how I got into it.
You're very fortunate that they didn't invite all 3 of the characters you created. Right?
Yeah, I had this. A dude from North Miami had to disappear after that.
It would be like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Right. Yeah, you would put the costume on.
Right.
That would have been but it led to, before I was even working part-time, I had to rush from my high school, I think it was humanities class, it's in the book, where the sports director couldn't go interview Muhammad Ali. And so here I am, like 16. Yeah, I just got my license. So I drive over to the Malibu Hotel to interview Muhammad Ali. And that was one of my first interviews that he used in the radio show. And Ali said I had long hair, and it was, he said, "You're not as dumb as you look, kid." It was one of those moments. But after that, I was like, okay, I don't want to be intimidated by anybody that I interview. So
Chris Myers, I truly enjoy the book. Encourage everybody to pick it up. That deserves a wow. Really appreciate taking the time for us this morning. Thanks so much for doing this. Happy holidays. Let's talk real soon. All right.
Yeah, no, anytime. You guys are fun. Sorry about the glitches here. I have some, you know how that goes with those problems. But 100%. Yeah, I appreciate your time too, and hope the Ravens do well.
Thank you, Chris. Chris Myers.
Right.
With us here on GCR. And straight shoot, I have plugged books before that I was just plugging because the author was on. It's actually a really great read. Yeah. It's a really great read. And
let me give you my 5 guys real quick.
Okay.
Kuechly. Jared Allen.
Wait, is this 5 you think are getting in, or the 5 that if you could only put 5 guys in, these are the 5 you would put in?
Let me get the list. You got to take a break?
Yeah, we do.
Get the list for me there, Griff.
All right, we'll do it. We'll grab a break. Then Drew's going to tell us about who he's putting in the Hall of Fame, which is important. If you think people are going to carry through a break, this is going to be the moment.
It's called a tease.
Is it the 5 you think are getting in, or the 5 you'd put in?
It's the 5 that are getting in.
Okay. Well, give me both.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Very good.
I'll do the last segment.
I'll take off.
Yeah. Do something.
Print issue of Press Box available right now for another a week or so. I mean, it really is coming up on the final days of this one with Juju Reese and Derek Queen on the cover. Then it'll make way for annual.
Oh, they play tonight.
They do. They play.
We play
our Terps, right? Playing Ohio State.
I think it's a conference opener.
Big conference opener, 100%.
I like their chances.
They look good in red, right?
Yep, Maryland 71, Ohio State 74 overtime.
Go pick up this print issue of Press Box before it's gone.
We better beat these clowns tonight.
This one's important. Pick it up at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Drew's Hall of Fame next. Glenn Clark Radio. Now we have the technological glitches.
It's all good.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Millette, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Millette Show. We'll be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. The Arthur Millette Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
Back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. And Drew, I guess, has decided to work overtime today. I don't know what's gotten into you. Normally by this
I
time
got my Christmas bonus. John sent me a Christmas bonus.
Weird. You got 1,000?
No, I didn't get 1,000.
Oh.
I wouldn't do it for 1,000.
Right.
That's all you got?
That's all I got. I wish.
How about that uproar I caused on the text 2 weeks ago?
God, you and Cunningham are gonna one of these days. Look, if
I was totally joking around.
This could just be you both have to fight Jake Paul. Like this could just be
I'll
the way
fight
that it
Jake
works.
Paul.
Like,
I don't care.
That both of you.
I mean,
we're gonna
he got
just
so mad at me.
We're just gonna do old men
I'm
fights.
like, dude, calm down. I was joking.
Forrester started a fight with Cunningham on a text because Bruce wanted to work the holiday shifts, and Drew was like, "Save some for the rest of us."
No, I said we must all be on a delay because as soon as the text comes out, Bruce responds, "I'm in." I don't even get the text and Bruce responds I'm in. Like, I get Bruce's response before I get the offer. And Bruce got mad.
Did you want to work? Were you mad?
No.
Tell the truth. Did you want to work?
I haven't taken one shift that's been offered.
Did you want a shift?
Not at all. What am I going to do? Go on the air and say fire Harbaugh?
None of us are
like the rest of you do?
I couldn't help but notice none of us are getting shifts around Christmas time. Couldn't help it.
Yeah, that's weird. Why is that? Because
Because
those are the ones I usually take.
Not happening this year.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I don't know. I got nothing to do with it, but I'm just leave it.
All right.
It probably has something to do with the Ravens playing on Christmas. It probably has something to do with that. Where I don't know all the details. Anyway, yes, Drew's going to tell you who he wants to see get into the Hall of Fame and who he thinks is going to get into the Hall of Fame. Is this the? I thought we were down to 15.
That's the 20. Oh, we're down to 15 now.
Maybe we're not. I thought we were down to 15, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's still 25. Did they go from 25 to 15 in the room?
Yeah, no.
They go from 15 to 10 in the room.
They go from 25 to 15 in like tomorrow, this week or next week.
But the room isn't the Super Bowl anymore. They don't do it at the Super Bowl. They do it way ahead of that and make everybody swear to secrecy. But that's why there's more leaks than there used to be.
But this is the current list.
Yes.
As it
This
stands
is
right
the most
now.
accurate. Is down to 25.
Yeah.
All right, so Drew's Hall of Fame is brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone, of course, is the website. And this is championship week for public schools. And games get underway in Annapolis tomorrow. You can learn all about them, who's playing, when, how they got here, all of it by going to CountySports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. All right, so 25 guys on the list. Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Anquan Bolden, Jari Evans, Antonio Gates, James Harrison, Rodney Harrison, Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly, Eli Manning, Robert Mathis, Steve Smith Sr., Terrell Suggs, Fred Taylor, Earl Thomas, Adam Vinatieri, Hines Ward, Ricky Waters. A lot of W's on this list. Reggie Wayne, Richmond Webb, Vince Wilfork, Steve Wisniewski, Darren Woodson, and Marshall Yonda. Did you see, by the way, who the nominees are for the other groups?
Maybe. Refresh my memory.
So one coach was nominated, can be voted on for the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
They went with Mike Holmgren as the nominee for the Hall of Fame. Does anything about Mike Holmgren scream Hall of Famer to you?
Not really.
Does it feel a little bit
Not really.
like if Mike Holmgren's in, then why couldn't Brian Billick be in?
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like I'm sure.
That's a good comparison, too.
Mike Holmgren's going to have more wins. He finishes his career with 174 wins, so that's more than Brian Billick, but he won one Super Bowl. Like, one. I get it. He went back to another one as the Seahawks coach, so that's if you want to say what's different between he and Brian Billick, it's that he got the two, but he won one Super Bowl. It just doesn't come off to me like someone who won one Super Bowl needs to be in the Hall of Fame. This is what the moment we put Tony Dungy in, and I get it. The Tony Dungy thing was supposed to be we put him in because he was the first black head coach to win a Super Bowl, and that was significant. But the moment we did that, then you had to compare all the other coaches to Tony Dungy. Tell me how it is that Mike Holmgren's going to be in for the Hall of Fame than Mike Shanahan, who has 2 Super Bowls, who isn't in the Hall of Fame. Really weird, man. All right, anyway. Oh, by the way, you want something crazier? They also nominated yesterday someone for the Hall of Fame who murdered his wife.
Wow. Was that proven?
Yes. Jim Tyrer. You don't remember this story?
No.
Jim Tyrer, who was a legendary offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs and almost certainly was going to get in.
Well, what did she do?
To the Hall of it's a very complicated story. It's a very complicated story. Didn't do anything. Jim Tyrer dealt with terrible CTE.
Okay.
At the time, obviously, that wasn't known. Murder-suicide. Walked in, killed his wife, killed himself.
Okay.
Now,
well,
again,
yeah, there's no reason to put him in the Hall of Fame.
That's the point. The point is, everybody wants to make this about a referendum about CTE, that it's the NFL's fault that Jim Tyrer killed his wife.
There's no reason to put him in.
But that's the thing. It doesn't require this. It's okay for us to say,
yeah, sure. We got a problem.
Killing your wife is going to be the reason why we don't put you in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, that one we're not getting around.
It's okay for us to say we don't need to have a deeper conversation about this. We can say you kill your wife, you're not getting into the Hall of Fame. That's all right.
Unless like you found out she was a Flyers fan or something.
Nah, it's maybe may not make that joke. The other Hall of Fame finalists from the different committees, the Sterling Sharp is on the Veterans Committee.
Pass.
I don't know. I think Sterling Sharp's probably a Hall of Famer.
No.
A man that was impactful in the early days of the Baltimore Ravens, Maxie Baughan.
Okay.
Is on the veterans.
Used to live right on. He used to live right over off of River Downs Golf Course.
That sounds right.
Yeah, he did.
Ask Ray Lewis about the significance of Maxie Baughan on his career.
He lived over by River Downs.
That makes sense, 100%. Maxie Baughan, who of course had a great career as a player, ended up being the defensive coordinator for the Colts, and then later the linebackers coach for the Baltimore Ravens. And I mentioned Jim Tyrer, and then someone named Ralph Hay is the contributor finalist, which, in fairness, it's never going to be Art Modell, so, it's what it is.
I don't want to get into that. You know what I think about that?
Now.
Okay.
You got your list.
Yeah, my 5.
This is your 5, or this is the 5 that are getting in?
This is my 5 first.
If Drew Forrester was the committee, these 5 people would be in the Hall of Fame this year.
Right. Hines Ward and James Harrison for sure. All right. So now we got those 2 out of the way. Now we got those 2 done.
It's like Drew's like, is Ferrier on here? How did Ryan Shazier miss the cut?
So we got Ward. No. All right. Jared Allen. I really have a soft spot for Willie Anderson. I think Willie Anderson was a Hall of Fame offensive tackle. And
by the way, we can put this up on the website because we can all give our own.
And I know, and they do. They believe in the linemen. That's why Yonda's going to get in someday. Like Willie Anderson was a great offensive tackle.
There's no question that he was great.
Antonio Gates, Luke Kuechly, and that means I'm going to leave Suggs out the first year because I'm going to put Vince Wilfork in. Wow. I think Vince Wilfork was a dominating defensive tackle.
Sheesh.
Okay?
That's a weird list, man.
Okay, well, I mean, it is. Jared
It's
Allen, Willie Anderson, Antonio Gates, Luke Kuechly, and Vince Wilfork. So there you go.
Right.
That's who I would vote in.
All right. If I had to put 5 in, I have to put one of these wide receivers.
I think one of them's getting in.
I have to.
But
Hang on.
go ahead.
If I was putting 5 in, Torrey Holt would be one of my 5 for sure. I feel like it should be both of them, but I don't know if I can get there. Antonio Gates, I am with you. What are we doing? If Antonio Gates and Luke Kuechly aren't Hall of Famers,
close it.
100%. But I would say the same thing about Terrell Suggs.
Sure.
Like that's.
But he's getting in.
I agree.
Are you one of those people that cares about first ballot or not?
With some guys, I do. With some guys, it's like it is really kind of shameful that like Michael Irvin wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer because it was clearly we don't like you, so we want. With certain guys, when it becomes, it's not a question about your greatness. It's
we're making you wait.
We want to make
you
a
sweat
statement
it out a little bit.
That bugs the crap out of me, right? Like
well, I've long thought, and I've always made I did make this argument about Messina. I've long thought this about the Hall of Fame. You're either a Hall of Famer or you're not. Mm-hmm. And when the time comes for
this is actually one of the things that you've said, like of all the crazy things you say, the argument of you get 1 year, you're in or you're not, like
you're either a Hall of Famer or you aren't. And if this year, this were the list, the first time, the very first time, I don't know enough about Steve Wisniewski. I don't know about Richmond Webb. I don't even know who Jari Evans is.
Was a great.
Okay.
Like he was a Marshall Yonda type player.
Maybe. But I'm saying if this is the list, vote them all in. If that's what you think. You think Fred Taylor was a Hall of Famer? He was a great running back.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
So vote them all in.
Right.
But if you don't vote Fred Taylor in this year, then he's not a Hall of Famer.
So I'm
anyway,
saying
go ahead.
My 5, these guys are Hall of Famers. And admittedly, I got more on my list. Like, there are more guys on this list that I think are Hall of Famers beyond the 5.
I do too.
But my 5, like, these
Adam Vinatieri is a Hall of Fame
100%
kicker.
he is. But he's not higher on the list to me than...
Correct.
The 5 guys that would be the highest on the list for me would be Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly, Terrell Suggs.
Okay.
Those would be my 5.
So you and I differ on 2 guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fine.
100%.
So I have Willie Anderson.
Let me let Griffin throw his in.
Nah, we're good.
Just let him do it. Are you keeping track of this so that you can put it up on the website?
You said Gates, Allen, Holt, Kuechly, Suggs?
Yes. Gates, Allen, Holt, Kuechly, Suggs.
You said Wilfork, Gates, Willie Anderson, Jared Allen. What was your 5th, Drew?
Wilfork.
Wilfork.
Drew's 5 were Allen, Anderson, Gates, Kuechly, and Wilfork.
Right.
Those were his 5.
All right, and then we're doing like what I think or
No,
what.
if you could put 5 guys in the Hall of Fame, you get to vote 5 in.
I would go Antonio Gates, Jared Allen, Torrey Holt, Kuechly, and then I know it's first ballot, but Earl Thomas, right? Like that's
okay. You're insane, but
I get
okay.
Marshall Yanda. Marshall Yanda.
You would put him in over Suggs. So you have not the same
because
list,
you can't.
except
You're not going to put in 2 edge
you
rushers.
swap Suggs for Yanda. But you get to do whatever you want. This is not.
Okay.
You can put Earl Thomas in.
You put 5 guys in the Hall of Fame.
I'll be wrong.
Speaking of which, I'm hungry.
Yanda.
Somebody bring us a burger.
Yanda. I want Yanda. I'll
You
put
want Yanda in over Suggs.
I mean, when you say it like that, then that sounds
sounds a little. I'll be the one to say it.
What?
I'll be the one to say it.
No. It's
he's
well,
light.
Being like somewhat realistic, but also
real,
what I
real
want.
Weird.
What I want.
Real weird. Which one of those 2 guys he picked?
Then I put Earl Thomas.
The white
Real
guy.
strange.
The white guy.
Real strange how that works.
Here's who I think's getting in.
Yes.
I think it's going to be Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, Luke Kuechly, Terrell Suggs, and Reggie Wayne. That's who I think's getting in.
It's interesting.
I think Suggs is getting in.
I think he is too.
I saw somebody over the week, Thanksgiving week, make a really, really strong case for Robert Mathis and a really strong case for Fred Taylor.
Robert Mathis was.
Yeah, more than I. And again, this goes back to the list, right? Was Robert Mathis a Hall of Fame rush end? Yeah. Okay, well then put him in. Well, we can't. We can only put 5 in. Okay.
Right.
Well, was Fred Thomas a Hall of Fame running back for those
Fred
years?
Taylor, yes.
Fred Taylor. Yes. Okay, put him in. Well, we can't. But that's part of the problem with this, right?
Yep.
I as much as I hate to say this, I kind of think Hines Ward was a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
I
hate to say that.
I think you're saying that because the element of what he brought as a winner, what he brought as
he was
not
a hell of a competitor, man.
He's not more deserving to me than either Bolden or Steve Smith.
I don't know that I agree with that, but okay.
But I think you're saying that more because you're factoring in the Pittsburgh stuff. They were winners. They always won. He was always and I get that, and I'm not trying to be dismissive of it, and it's why I think there's an argument for him. But as pure who was the better wide receiver, there's no world where, to me, Hines Ward is in the conversation of even those 2 guys. And those 2 guys are the
I disagree with that
third and
on
fourth
Steve
guys.
Smith. I wouldn't argue it with Bolden. I think Bolden.
Okay, I'd listen to that.
I don't think Bolden's a Hall of Famer, but I think Bolden was a Hall of Fame player, meaning he had everything about he just needed more. In my opinion, there was something he didn't have. But anyway, I don't think Ward's getting in. I don't think any of those 3 are getting in.
I don't think there's any chance.
I don't think Bolden, Smith, or Ward are ever getting in.
By the way, next year is going to be a tough year to get more people
my gosh,
in.
it's insane.
Next year is loaded.
It's crazy.
With 3 that are slam dunks. Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, and Frank Gore are slam dunk Hall of Famers.
Correct.
And by the way, Gore's the only one you could even make an argument for.
He won't get in the first year.
If he doesn't get in the first year, it's not the end of the world.
He won't.
Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald, if there's even 10 seconds of conversation, it's 10 seconds too long.
Right.
Those guys are Hall of Famers. But next year's class also includes Phillip Rivers. Now, I don't think he's getting in the first year, but
I don't either. But he is going to get in.
I think there's 2 spots that are.
He'll get in when the cycle is down a year. He'll get in.
Similar story. Jason Witten to me
is a definite Hall of Famer.
But I don't know that he's a first-year Hall of Famer
Correct.
either.
I agree.
I don't know that that's the case.
I agree.
So that's the group.
Rivers is a very interesting discussion because it will fly in the face of everyone who says, well, what did he ever win?
Mm-hmm. And that's particularly measurable with quarterbacks,
Correct.
right? Like with quarterbacks, we've decided that
you have
the most control over the football game. So we measure winning matters for quarterbacks the way we don't. No one really
Lamar
cares.
would be the outlier right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Allen would be 2. But those 2 would be the outliers in that they're on the fast track to the Hall of Fame / they're in the Hall of Fame,
right?
Having not won anything except individual awards.
You're saying specifically winning a Super Bowl?
Yeah. I mean, they're on the fast track, but neither one of them have won yet. And if they go their entire career and somehow don't win one, they're getting in. Those just doesn't happen much with quarterbacks. It just doesn't.
No.
Like Rivers is going to be exception to that because I do think he's getting in. He is going to get in.
I think he gets in.
I do too.
I got to look year by year. Like this does.
And he the one thing that worked against him a little is, he played in the relative obscurity of San Diego.
But it's hard for an NFL quarterback to be obscure. That's a better argument to me. The Jari Evans, what you just said about Jari Evans.
I didn't know who he is.
And there are people that would wring your neck and say, if you think Marshall Yonda's a Hall of Famer, Jari Evans was even better than him. Right?
Maybe.
But we know that because we live in Baltimore.
But there's probably also people who think that about Marshall Yonda.
100%. There's definitely people.
There's somebody in New Orleans is doing sports talk today going, who's Marshall Yonda?
Right? He's not a Hall of Famer. What are you talking about, right? 100%.
Okay.
All right. Griffin, remind everybody real quick about Live Casino and Hotel.
You're getting $7 in free slot play every time that a Baltimore touchdown or a Washington touchdown is scored during their home games this season. Live Rewards members will get $7 in said free slot play. You have to have your Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine, any slot machine on the floor, and be actively playing in order to get your prize. But once those touchdowns score, $7 in free slot play during home games this season. At Arundel Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We will get
what do you think?
Hall of Fame ballots up at glennclarkradio.com. Yes, quick.
Oh, gosh, what was I
we got to take another break, I just realized.
What was I going to ask you?
I don't know. I really don't.
Oh, hell.
Did
it was
have to do with
important.
sports?
Yes.
Oh, that's
yes. I mean, that's what we do here.
Since when?
What?
When did we start doing that?
Oh, this is going to drive me crazy.
Can you do something to help us out with helping up? Could you come up with something?
Yeah, what do you need?
I want to do. I would like to do an event. People would like to get together.
Okay.
We can do a night somewhere. I mean, we can't do Glory Days anymore. Something.
Yeah, I would like to.
We can do Chick-fil-A. We just got to put something together. And I'm running low on football players that I can bring out. Unfortunately,
I'm sure they're tired of you.
Well.
What was I going to ask you?
I don't know.
I wanted to say to you, what do you think of? And then I.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it was important.
Was it?
Yeah.
I doubt that.
It was something you missed.
What did I miss?
Yeah, you missed this, and I wanted to say, what
talking about the college football playoff rankings?
No, those are set except Arizona State, right? They might get in.
Well, there's still a question about does SMU get in if they lose the ACC championship game?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't that?
Bama out. And then
They would.
No,
the question is, if SMU loses, are they putting SMU in or are they putting Alabama in? And like everybody, based
do
on.
You think Alabama should be?
Should they be? Probably not.
Carolina
but
and Ole Miss.
Yeah, I don't really care about it. They all lost a bunch of games. Like, what are we really going to do? Scream about it? The argument is, should a team be penalized for making their conference championship game? Like, that's the.
Should that loss count against them?
Like, these other teams didn't have to play.
Right.
Should you be penalized? It's a lesser story. Penn State's going to get in no matter what. But could they lose a home game if they go turn around and get blitzed by Oregon? They lose by 40 to Oregon on Saturday. Do they then turn around and say
so
they're
I'm
not
missing
a top
something?
8 seed anymore?
The college football playoff now gets you a home football game?
The first round.
I didn't know that.
The first round. So the four conference champions get a bye.
Knew that.
The next 8 teams will play a first-round game.
And you got to go to the 5, 6, 7, 8.
Alabama's going to Notre Dame.
They get to host.
It started today, yeah.
Correct.
Then it goes to the bowl games.
Yes. After
then it becomes bowl
starting
games.
in the quarterfinal round,
Gotcha.
it's bowl games and then semifinals.
I did not know you got a home game. That's crazy. Okay.
It's nuts that we're going to be playing late December games in State College and Columbus and like it is
sweet.
Sweet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of the? This is not what I wanted to ask you, but I'm killing time to ask you.
All right. Well, we got to take a break. We got to.
No,
go.
we don't.
It's 12:14.
John's here. What do you?
Does that have to do with anything?
What did you? I'll take care of John. What did you? What did you think about the Trevor Lawrence thing?
What about it? Oh, the hit?
What did you think about that whole? Yeah, the hit. D'Amico Ryan's commentary. Like, what did you think about that whole thing?
I think it is totally plausible that a player could decide I'm making this hit and run out of. It's happened so fast that it's impossible for him to back out. But I also think that you see him going low, and we know that you can't go low anymore. Like you just know that. You know that once a player's like, it's one thing if it's his knee that comes up and hits somebody in the helmet because the guy slid and you went low, and you know you can't do that anymore. Like, it doesn't matter now. Is it possible that like it's human instinct and I'm supposed to hit this guy and I just went where he went, and I know I'm not supposed to, but I didn't. I'm not trying to injure him. It's just, it's human instinct. That's what I'm going to do. Ray Lewis used to argue for that all the time. When they instituted targeting in football, Ray Lewis said, I can't change the way I play. I can't do it. Like,
right.
You throw the ball in the middle of the field, I'm taking the guy out. Remember, it cost the Ravens in a game against the Bengals, where he got flagged for 15 yards on Chad Johnson.
Chad Johnson, right.
That's totally plausible, but it also doesn't mean that you don't get penalized for it. So is 3 games a lot? Yeah, it's a lot. They're trying to tell you have to change the way that you play.
It'll get changed to 2 today.
Probably.
Yeah.
A lot of people are doing a bit where, like, it's John Runyon that is now in charge. Yeah. And they're doing this awful internet bit where, like, this is bold of John Runyon to be the one saying this and pulling out highlights the way that John Runyon played in a different era of football. Like, that, trying to suggest that John Runyon's evil because of how he played, those were the rules then. Those are the rules. He played within the rules of football at the time. It's nonsense. We think we're so smart.
I thought it was a terrible, terrible hit.
It was awful.
And
I also think it's possible that, like, it was done without. I don't know that he wanted to hurt Trevor Lawrence. Maybe he did, but I also think it's possible that, like, you're playing a game that's extraordinarily fast, and your brain might not be catching up to your body.
100%.
In that moment.
Look, here's what I would say. I do not think he was intentionally trying to injure that kid. I do think he was trying to put a hit on him.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he was engaged in the moment to say, there he is, I'm going to put one on him. But the game is happening too quick. And again, I would submit to someone, unless, and you and I have, but I don't know how many times, I probably was down there 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
Game would, before they changed the rules, we used to be allowed to go, people don't know, you used to be allowed to go down field side at the end of the game. I don't think you could do that anymore. Or certain members of the media can't. But in the old days, quote unquote, we could go down to the field. And I can remember specifically being on the field in Kansas City at the end of the playoff game the Ravens won. The game is so freaking fast when it's happening right in front of you.
The word that always gets used is a car crash.
It's a train wreck,
car,
right?
Yeah. That's what it.
And it is.
Yep.
And there is an element of it that you're not controlling. It's just like you're not controlling a car crash.
Yep.
It was bad though.
So yeah,
I do think you had to suspend him, and I think if you continue to tell people player safety, you have to adjudicate it like this. You can't let it go. You just can't. You just can't do it. You got to call him on it, and it's a shame. I don't think he was trying to injure the kid, but it was a bad hit.
It was awful. 100%. It was awful.
I thought D'Amico Ryans yesterday I thought that was a little
there have been a few,
flimsy on his part.
I mean, I don't know what the like. Are you going to lose the locker room if you don't?
Correct.
I don't know.
It's like
right?
with Harbaugh the other day with Deontay Johnson. Everybody, I think we all know, right? Deontay Johnson wants to leave. John can't say that yet. They're kind of trying to figure out, what do we owe you? What are we doing? How are we getting rid of you? What are we saying? They're firing him without firing him. He doesn't.
I don't understand how, if that's really what's happening, why. That can be solved in a day.
But I don't know the answer. But I mean,
that's why.
But obviously something's happened, right?
I think you're right, but the fact that we're still sitting here on Wednesday and nothing's like
because I don't think they wanted to leave.
That's okay.
That's what I mean.
That's totally plausible.
I think he came in and said, "Hey, I want to quit this job."
Right.
And the Ravens said, "We don't want you to quit."
Right.
And he said, "Yeah, I know, but I'm quitting." And the Ravens are like, "No, we don't want you to quit." That's what I think's going on. I think they're trying to save him. Look, we all know what happened. Deontay Johnson got the call. He didn't have a job. Deontay Johnson, he had a job, but he's playing for the worst team in football.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the Ravens want you. Man, that's awesome. Lamar, I'm going there. I wonder how many catches I'm going to get a game. 8, 9, 10, 12. This will be awesome. And then they throw the ball to him 2 times. He falls down, and John says, take a seat, and that's the end of it. So he's definitely, something's in the air with him, right?
No, there's obviously something.
Yeah.
It just feels like, and I'm telling you, I've tried poking around on it, and like nobody's talking about it, which makes me wonder if there's something more than that.
Maybe.
That's all. That's all I.
Maybe.
I don't know. It just makes me wonder about it. But
all
yeah.
Right. Well, have a good week.
All right, pal. It's good to see you. DrewsMorningDish.com is the website.
I actually do think James Harrison and Ward should be in. I just didn't have the balls to say it.
What a guy you are.
Well, you think one of the Manning guys will, like one of Manning's guys will have to get in, whether it's Eli or
Cooper
or Vinatieri
they're putting Cooper in.
Wayne,
Yeah, they're putting
Wayne.
Cooper in. Yeah.
Well, Vinatieri's got to be in, but they don't put kickers in.
I don't know how you put him in over one of these.
Right.
By the way, that's also the little nobody wants because it doesn't matter in comparison. The macro micro thing. The micro matters more. The macro is I don't know if what's going on right now impacts Justin Tucker's ability to get to the Hall of Fame, which is a really interesting conversation.
It's Tucker keeping Vinny out of the Hall of Fame for this season. Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's the problem. All right, we come back in. We'll get a tidbit. We'll get two, but that'll wind things down. Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Pressbox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Adebayo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay or Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with two sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Winding down, Drew wanted to. Drew normally wants to get out of here at like 11. All of a sudden, he's like, I want to stay till 5. I got stuff to do.
What do you
got things? I got the Stevenson doubleheader tonight. I got to get ready for. I do have stuff to do. Still putting the finishing touches on our best of issue of Press Box that we're working on right now. So yeah, some of us have a lot of calls and meetings and are very important people. Got to see a guy about a thing. I got to get my toothbrush fixed. Stupid flossers pissing me off.
You got an electric toothbrush.
And I got it a few years ago, and I loved it. And then the one that I had all of a sudden was having this issue where, like, the water wasn't coming through the flosser. I'm like, son of a bitch. So that guy will send you a new one. So earlier this year, they sent me a new one, no problem. It's worked great. And then last couple of days, the tip of the flosser won't click in the body of the flosser. And so the water just shoots out the side. And I haven't had time because we're working on the best of issue and doing all these other things to call and spend time on the phone to try to fix the flaw, or they just eventually get to the point where they say, well, we'll send you another new one. Whatever it is, I don't care. Just got to get it fixed. Tidbit. What's going on? Can we do that? Are you good? Are we ready? Let's do it then. Tidbit of the day.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country once again returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through the 30th for the Governor's Challenge, presented by Pohanka and Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and information, visit govchallenge.org.
All right, so what you got?
And we still didn't cover everything today yet, even though
What?
Well, because we didn't do our Hard Knocks.
I did not get a chance to
and-
watch. Although everybody was complaining that there was not enough Ravens.
I
on
mean,
it.
yeah,
That was not-
probably, but I
don't know if there was a week where I wanted a little bit less Ravens. Maybe this would be the week.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I'm worried if this is gonna work. If you're trying to do an entire
4
division,
teams. Yeah, I did have that feeling too when I was seeing that on Twitter last night when people were complaining about it. I finally just downloaded Max so I could watch the stupid Yacht Rock thing because I told the Prime story yesterday. It's really pissing me off. So I was spending time with that. That was where my attention was going. But I was noticing on Twitter that everybody was complaining about Hard Knocks. I would say the part that everybody kept bringing up is that, like, the teams still have control over what. And if I know John Harbaugh, he is letting as little as possible. I just not a guy that wants much out.
I mean, it makes sense because the Bengals and the Steelers are playing each other, and I mean, and then I think naturally, I guess the Bengals and the Browns will be phased out.
God, I love it when you say Bengals. It's my favorite thing when everyone no one in Baltimore knows how to pronounce the name of the team in Cincinnati. There's no one in our city.
I just pronounced it actually.
It's charming to me. Like it's charming the way that we don't know how to pronounce the name of the team. And I don't think that was ever one that I had. Maybe I did. There was
Is this something that's going to hold me back, you think? Or
no, I don't know. I mean, do you want a job in Cincinnati?
Probably
won't go over so well there. You're looking.
They're going to get mad that I say Bengals
like there's
instead of Bengals.
Afternoon Talk is available on WLW in Cincinnati. You can be Rocky Boyman's partner. And they're like, we need. Yeah, he's great. You need a guy. And they're like, all right, let's call up. They call me. They say, you got somebody to suggest? I say, I think you could hire.
Try to get rid of this guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sick of him. And they're like, all right. They give an interview, and you're like, oh, tell me how comfortable you'd be talking about the football team. And you'd be like, I'd love to talk about the Bengals. They're like, the what now? The Bengals. Who?
Then they call you back and be like, who that?
Yeah, now it's on me.
So it's
now it reflects.
So you want me to say the Bengals?
The name of the team, yes, is what I would like you to say, the Bengals. But honestly, I can't be mad about it because it's what everyone in Baltimore says. Everyone.
Can you say it?
Bengals. Yes, I say it constantly.
Well, no, I mean like the right way.
Bengals.
Isn't that what I said?
No, you say Bangles. Bangle. You say Bangle.
You don't like Bangle?
It's what everyone in this city
Bengals?
says. It's not just you. You are not alone.
I mean, I just don't even hear
it's
it.
overwhelming.
If
you say Bangle.
When you say it, I hear Bengals. I hear Bengals.
Bengal.
Bengals.
Bangle. Bengal. Bangle. Bengal. Consult this Pan dilemma.
That was the biggest takeaway, I guess, is that Joe Burrow has a Batmobile. And that was,
I did see that.
But I feel like this is always how Hard Knocks starts, where I'm like kind of like, I don't know if I'm feeling this one, and then by like episode 2 or 3, I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. Maybe I guess we'll just give them time, let them tell their stories. But it feels like they're not gonna have as much.
It's
like
12:30.
As much time for features as you would if you're
yes,
focusing on just
one
a
team.
singular team.
100%. That's the case.
I don't know, but I mean, maybe once they get down to just the Steelers and Ravens.
But again, I'm the wrong person to talk about this. I have not watched Hard Knocks since the original Ravens Hard Knocks.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just not.
You would like the Giants one was good.
Well,
it's aged well.
Yeah,
it helps that it's aged very well, but I did like it in real time as well, watching it over July or whenever. What are we doing? Tidbit.
That was the idea.
That guy for the Broncos that got that pick 6, the long pick, one of Jameis's pick 6s, on or Monday night. I don't know why I was going to say Friday night. Nick Bonito.
Yes.
He has
Been having
now
a very nice season.
Yes, he has 10 sacks this season, and now it has added a 70-yard pick six. He is the second player over the course of the last 20 seasons to have a 10-sack season as well as a 70-yard pick six in the same season.
How about that?
Any idea who might be?
How would I possibly know that, Griffin? The list of all defensive players of all time.
Some of the
Ray
good
Lewis.
ones. No. The last 20 seasons. And
last 20 seasons. Well, that would still include Ray Lewis.
I'll give it to you. It was 10 years ago that this guy did
10 years
this.
ago. 2014. Because that could be Luke Kuechly.
It's not Luke Kuechly. God, I got whatever Drew got. Already.
Patrick Willis.
Not Patrick Willis.
J.J. Watt.
Yes, J.J. Watt.
Okay,
There you go.
there you
Nick
go.
Bonito and J.J. Watt, the only two. 10 sacks. And
Confuse the
70-yard
two of
pick
them all the
sixes.
time,
Got to
yeah.
play Jameis Winston more often. And then
I guess Ray Lewis probably never had a 10-sack. Did he have ever 10-sack season? He probably didn't. Now that I say it, it's probably got it was more likely to be an edge rusher than it was to be an inside linebacker.
And I have had this out. I believe, Brock Bowers at the moment he is leading the NFL in receptions, and so if that holds, if he can continue this pace, and the rest of the NFL can continue this pace,
Not only
he would
did he
be
never have a 10-sack season, he had one 5-sack season.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
still a good player.
It's fine.
He would be the first rookie tight end to lead the league in receptions in NFL history. So I did want to look up, the most receptions in a season by a tight end. Brock Bowers will break the record. He is currently at 84. The record holder had 86.
Okay.
So he will break that record. He just doesn't
Jason
have it
Witten.
yet. Jason Witten is not. I guess we'll do the top. I don't know. 8 guys have caught 60 passes as a rookie tight end. So we'll do the. We'll do
as
the
a
top
rookie
8.
tight end.
Yes, a rookie tight end.
Rookie tight end
Yes.
specifically. Wow. Now you got to
So
try
we'll
to
do-
figure out who was playing as a rookie, and that's Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews, no.
How about Sam Laporta?
Sam Laporta currently has the record. It
Oh,
looks
yeah?
like that'll only last about another until the Raiders' next game. He had 86 last season. Brock Bowers is 84 already. So there's your top 1 and 2.
So this is tricky because a lot of the best rookie tight end or best tight ends of all time did not I don't think Tony Gonzalez.
Not
I
Tony
don't think.
Gonzalez. He had. I don't know. He's less than 40.
Yeah, a lot of these guys like Antonio Gates was still converting from basketball. I'm just gonna Gates.
Not Antonio.
Graham, same thing. I don't think it was Jimmy Graham. Gronk.
No Gronk.
I'm a little surprised by that because he was pretty good as a rookie.
He did not. Aaron Hernandez had more than him. Aaron Hernandez had 45.
And this is the problem. This could end up being a very difficult list to crack. Todd Heap. No, because he was Shannon Sharp was still on the team. No.
It wasn't Todd. No, Todd Heap's on the list.
Yeah, we might have to.
I think more recent.
More recent.
There are. I'm trying to think of guys. There's. We have
more recent.
Most of in the
Trey
top 8.
McBride.
Not Trey McBride. Doesn't have a touchdown.
Evan
season. What are we
Ingram.
talking about? Yeah, Evan Ingram's on the list.
Okay.
Top 7, 64 catches in 2017.
I don't
Not the
remember
only
that.
Giant on the list.
Not the only. Jeremy Shockey.
Jeremy Shockey in 02 had 74.
Still more recent.
One other guy in the top 8 that is not so recent. 1988.
1988.
A Philadelphia Eagle.
Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson had 81. Only 3 guys have had 80 receptions as rookie tight ends: Bowers, Laporta, and Keith Jackson.
All right.
So you got the top 4 there. Shockey's 4.
Okay.
You said
No,
Evan Ingram.
4.
And then the 3 remaining in the top 8 are
George Kittle.
all in the last, not George Kittle, 3 seasons.
3 seasons. Rookie
4
tight end
seasons.
in the last 4 seasons.
Yes.
Rookie tight end.
Kittle had 43 in 2017.
Rookie tight end. Joku.
Not Njoku.
Hawkinson.
Not Hawkinson.
Schultz.
Not Dalton Schultz.
God. 4 seasons. Chigakonkwo?
Not Shig.
Dalton Kincaid?
Yes, Dalton Kincaid. Yes. Dalton Kincaid had 73 with the Bills. Yeah, last season, 73 receptions.
There's still another one in the last 4 seasons.
2 guys.
Was Jonnu the last 4 seasons? Did I say
No,
Jonnu?
not Jonnu.
Goddard?
Not
didn't
Goddard's. Both of the two remaining did it in 21.
Sure, easy. Cole Kmet. Pat Fryermuth.
Pat Fryermuth is on the list. 60 receptions as a rookie.
And
He's 8th.
And littering and Jesus. It's not
68 catches in 2021.
Not Cade Otton.
Not Cade Otton. Cade Otton does
Dawson Knox.
His top 25. Not Dawson Knox. 42 in 2022 for Cade Otton. So he's top 25.
Man. I mean, Gesicki's longer ago than that, and Ertz is obviously longer than that. Fant?
Not Noah Fant. He was well, let's give it away. I don't want to say it yet.
Kyle Pitts?
Kyle Pitts, yes.
I would never have guessed.
Kyle Pitts had 68. Was that his best season?
Yeah,
68
right?
catches in 2021.
We all thought he stunk.
And then 9th on the list, he had 56 catches as a rookie in 1961.
Oh, John Mackey.
Mike Ditka.
Mike Ditka.
Yeah,
Mike Ditka.
Ditka.
Hall of Famer. All right, very good. I was reminded that I didn't give you the sports questions there was only one from trivia this week, and it was extraordinarily easy. What team began the season 15-0 in the NBA?
Cleveland Cavaliers.
And who ended their win streak?
Oh, that'd be the Boston Celtics.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
And the Cavs covered. We appreciate that.
God
in
bless
that
him.
game.
God bless him. All right.
This is Kyle Pitts' or that was Kyle Pitts'. This is Kyle Pitts' worst. Well, I guess his second year wasn't all that good.
We
missed time.
We were winners this week at trivia. We were
Oh,
victorious
really?
this time.
Really?
We just threw it.
With the lack of sports questions.
Even despite the lack of sports questions, we threw a guess for the final because we were like, oh, what the hell? Because we were in the lead and we just wanted to win finally. The question was like, what 21st century Best Picture winner began as a short story from a collection of stories called Rope Burn? And we were like, what the F? Like, what? So we just started naming Best Picture winners, like all the ones we could think of. And our movie guy decided that he liked $1 Million Baby because it was about boxing, and boxing has ropes.
$1 Million Baby is always his go-to guess, I guess.
No, just his theory was just about the ropes. He's like, boxing has ropes, so what else would have ropes? Then before we walked it up, I was like, could it be Brokeback Mountain because they were cowboys? That has ropes. And he was like, just take up $1 Million Baby.
Did that win Best Picture?
I didn't know. I didn't know.
That.
It feels like the type of thing that would have won Best Picture.
I think so.
But I think
won Best Picture.
Yes, definitely. I knew $1 Million Baby had won Best Picture. I didn't know if Brokeback had won Best Picture or not, and he didn't know either. So we decided to stick with $1 Million Baby, and we were right. So look at that.
Right,
look at us.
guy.
Look at us.
Bought himself another week.
Look at us. Yeah, right. Don't gotta get rid of you now. All right, very good. Let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. As we mentioned, not Orioles. Why did I say Orioles?
Orioles?
Yeah, definitely not the Orioles. Maryland opens up Big Ten play tonight. They host Ohio State, 6:30 on Big Ten Network. Other games on BTN, Michigan State, Minnesota, 8:30, Oregon, USC at 10:30. I did watch a good bit of the second half of Clemson, Kentucky. Big win for Clemson. By the way, ACC-SEC Challenge going very well for the ACC. They played, I think, 10 games last night, and the ACC won.
That was their only one. Clemson beating top 5 Kentucky.
One. But that was a good win.
Yeah.
It was a very good win. But it was there. You just turned my microphone off.
I
You just turned my microphone off so you could sneeze. That went really well. Morgan's at home tonight against Cheney, 6 o'clock. You can watch it on their website. Coppins at Wagner at 7, NEC front row. The ESPN networks do this every year at 7 o'clock. They'll re-air Jimmy Valvano's famous Don't Give Up, Ever Give Up speech at 7. So everything starts at 7:15, like Alabama, North Carolina, and Auburn, Duke, 7:15 and 9:15 on ESPN. All the rest of the college hoops, go to GlennClarkRadio.com. NBA TV, Lakers, Heat, 7:30. T-Wolves, Clippers at 10:30. TNT's got Bruins, Blackhawks at 7:30, Stars, Kings at 10, USA, Aston Villa, and Brentford at 3:15. TBS for AEW Dynamite tonight at 8. Non-sports.
Let's see. We got a new episode of Survivor, of course, on CBS. A new episode of Abbott Elementary on ABC at 8 because it's normally like 9 or 9:30, I think. Moved up because at 9 you got Celebrity Family Feud with Shaq.
Hell yeah.
Versus Sherry Shepherd, of course.
I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
The 92nd Annual Christmas in Rockefeller. That is hosted by Kelly Clarkson tonight at 8 on NBC. And
I do love her song. I love the Underneath the Tree. It's one of my favorite songs that we started.
Followed by Jimmy Fallon's Holiday Seasoning Spectacular.
Good.
At 10 o'clock.
Quite all right.
Also on NBC.
Quite all right there.
Netflix has a docuseries with Winston Churchill thing. Churchill at War. Looks like just World War II Winston Churchill thing.
I can't wait to find out how it ends.
Yeah. And then Prime Video finally. I guess people have been complaining that Jeopardy is maybe too hard, so they got Pop Culture Jeopardy on Prime Video, hosted by Colin Jost.
There you go.
Looked really dumb, but I might be in. I don't know. It looks. Why not?
They used to do a sports Jeopardy, didn't they? On didn't Dan Patrick host it?
Oh, really?
I think so. And there was definitely a rock and roll Jeopardy that I don't remember who hosted it, but it was on VH1. And the singer from Sugar Ray, Mark McGrath, would win he knew more about rock and roll history than anybody involved. He knew more about Led Zeppelin than Led Zeppelin knew about Led Zeppelin. Wow. It was wild for a guy that was so lame and his music was so bad. Mark McGrath knew rock and roll history better than any human that's ever lived. It was wild. All right, very good. Thanks today to Drew. Thanks to Chris Myers. Thanks to Gordon McGuiness. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher?
Better. Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow, obviously, we'll do picks with KZ. Not that I want to. Anything?
I'm glad that KZ and I have to start stuff and things. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Do KZ and I start after picking first, so that way we can't copy you or go opposite of you?
What?
Well, I don't know.
You're not supposed to be changing your picks either.
I know. I always do write them down.
Yeah, you might have to start sending them to me so I know you didn't. That might have to be the play. That might have to be.
I would want to be on the opposite of you.
So. All right, no doubt about it. So would everybody else. I'd like to be on the opposite of me. I should 1,000% say pick the game and then pick the opposite of that. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Visit Hartford, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, the Governor's Challenge, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, MSAA, the Maryland Sports, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Terps, Morgan, and Coppin. Duke sucks.